Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and Thomas Hearns. Legends, whose four-way rivalry defined one of the greatest eras in boxing history. Relive their decade of dominance in the new Showtime sports documentary, The Kings, a 4-part series premiering Sunday, June 6th, only on Showtime.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Many, 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 Mickey, 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 Pishy, Pishy!
You are listening to the Voices of Wrestling podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
Head south, go listen to some boring podcast where they're afraid of their own shadow. Okay? Don't listen to Joe Lanza, because Joe Lanza's not changing.
And Rich Craich.
Give me a name. Who delivers this guy in a big spot?
Joe, don't yell at me.
In the big spot, who delivers better than this guy?
Stop yelling at me. I agree.
And we are live here on the Voices of Wrestling flagship podcast. I'm Rich Craich, alongside, as always, the king of banter, Mr. Joe Lanza. Joe, what's happening?
Why didn't you introduce the No Dopes chat room? Is that not going to happen?
If you want it to be a thing forever, I don't know if that was a bit or if that is a constant thing, the No Dopes chat room.
I mean, I feel like it's one of the perks of the $10 tier. You get to be part of the No Dopes chat room unless you prove yourself to be a dope, and then you're out.
Then you got to hit the bricks. Yeah, that's true. Okay, fine. Then and hello to the No Dopes chat room, listening on our $10 tier, patreon.com/voice wrestling, listening live to the flagship here as we get into yet another insanely crazy wrestling. Joe, we had crowds last weekend, like full crowds in America for Double or Nothing. Wrestling, it's back. It's stupid. It's weird. We got like cuts, and it's just we're all the way back. We're all the way back. With in terms of wrestling, just getting dumb and fun again. So I'm excited.
Do you know how hard it is to watch clap crowd wrestling?
I was about to talk about that. That I was watching these New Japan matches, and we'll talk about them later. I don't want to do that now, but watch them, and I'm just like, I don't want to watch this. I really want to watch crowds again. It's really, really difficult to, invest in, Yoshihashi's got a nice hold on, and we're hearing people clap louder. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know if I could do this. It was a drain. It was certainly a drain. So
it's real hard. I mean, the Australian wrestling, which has had the full crowds for a couple months now, and we've been watching that. That was like a little appetizer, and they've got some hot indie crowds down there. Down Under. They call it Down Under, Rich. Australia. Did you know that?
I did. And we had a lot of people in the No Dopes chat room, asking about the Gallus theme and when are you guys going to play the Gallus theme. We can't play the Gallus theme. We told you. We tweeted it out for people that don't remember. We got a copyright ding on the Gallus theme last week. So yeah, we gotta be careful playing that Gallus theme. So
yes,
I'm not sure you can sing it either. Chops Pones asks, can you sing it?
I don't think so.
I don't know. That guy might have, the because it's a production library song. I forget what the guy's name was, but yeah, he got us. So I mean, you were playing it through your phone in pretty low quality, and it got it. So I wouldn't.
And we've done it before,
right, and you're singing. I mean, you do a great a cappella version of the Gallus theme, and I think that those bots could definitely pick that up for sure.
And people think it's WWE taking our money, but it's not. It's whoever was the original, I guess, artist who wrote this song, who's getting the fractions of a penny that the YouTube hits generate for us. We literally get fractions of pennies because nobody listens to these shows on YouTube. We put it up there, because there are some people who enjoy the YouTube feeds, and it is a form of advertising to have it up on YouTube, and we have picked up listeners for all the shows on YouTube because we have people tell us, "Oh, we found you on YouTube." We're like, "Really?" But yeah, we earned fractions of pennies for being on YouTube. But last week's episode, we will not get those fractions of pennies.
Nope.
No, they will be going to whatever.
They all go to that guy. Yeah, I'm trying to look his name up right now, and it's a few more clicks than I really want to get into. So
hey, yeah.
Careful. Keep it under 15. I think under 15 we can claim fair use. But
no.
I think that's going to get picked up. I'm telling you. You are a man who has heard that. Well, okay, yeah, that's a good test. That is not a bad test. So stop it right there. That was definitely under 15. And we'll see what gets picked up, and if we have to send some more pennies over to whatever his name is, the guy that it had a cool title too, but again, I don't want to click a bunch of different windows to figure it out. So,
well, my acapella is so good that it probably will get picked up.
That's what I said. The bot is definitely going to get that. Yeah, the bot is definitely. But we can at least say, hey, no, we sang it, and we not only sang it, but it was under 15 seconds, so we're going to get hopefully some fair use out of that as well. So yeah, if for the people requesting the Gallus theme, it cannot happen right now. So yeah, that hasn't. And Nick is correct. Nick is correct that you have heard the Gallus theme probably more than any human that's not a coffee or Sid Scala. Yes, you. You only. I'm trying to think of people who have heard the Gallus theme more than you. Well, you kind of fell off of NXT UK though, right?
I binge watch like 20 at a time, and then I don't watch for 2 months again.
I think that still counts. I mean, in totality, I think you probably have heard it more than most human beings. I'd say you're in the top 0.00001% of people that have heard that theme, right?
Maybe. There are dedicated NXT UK watchers, believe it or not. NXT UK is like, it has a super underground following because the people who do watch it think it's really good. I know you think that's a bit, but it's not. Like, the people who do watch it think it's the best brand. And I have to be honest, when I do watch it, it probably is the best brand. I know that's not clearing the highest bars, but it's not terrible and irredeemable like the rest of WWE's programming. I'll put it to you that way.
Yeah, it's always on a weird, like, for me, it's always kind of a shock to, because it's on Wednesdays or Thursdays. I forget even what the fuck day it is, but it's at like 2 p.m. So like, or 3 p.m. our time. So it's just so funny to hear like WWE like, "Are you ready for a new episode of NXT UK?" And it's like, no, it's like 3 p.m. No, I'm not ready.
No, man, I'm at work.
Yeah, I'm at work. Like, I'm absolutely not ready for it. And then there's gifs of these random people, and I'm like, who the fuck is that person? Like, these just women. This endless stream of women I've never heard of before, and they're like quote tweeting it, being like, "It's my time." And like, who are you? I have no idea who you are or whatever. But obviously it's not for me, it's not for my audience, but it's always just a bit of it's just hard to kind of be like, what the fuck, it's 3 p.m. like, why are you guys on 3 p.m.? And it's like, oh yeah, right, it's not for me, it's for the UK audience. But yeah, I don't know, would you think that how many Americans like slap their hands together at 3 p.m. and go, oh baby, hop onto the Peacock and say, it's NXT UK time, baby, let's go, let's see what we got for us?
All right, well, let's figure this out. So there used to be 1.1 million North American subscribers, or American subscribers, right?
Correct, yeah.
To the network. We are assuming that a lot of those people didn't convert over to Peacock, right? Like, that's kind of the assumption.
Yeah, I think that's a safe assumption. Well, especially the UK people, like you're saying, but you're talking about just America.
Yeah, because you're trying to figure out how many people in America.
Correct. Yeah, I want to know who slaps their hands together at 3 p.m. on Thursday or Wednesday or whatever the hell and watches it.
Right, so we know that 1.1 million people in the U.S. had the network.
Got it. Had access to NXT UK at one point.
Right. We are figuring that they have lost some of those people.
Correct.
Now, you figure they may have gained a couple viewers by people who had Peacock who now have the network. But really, how many people who had
None
Peacock,
of them are watching NXT UK.
Who weren't wrestling fans, who now have checked out the network, have now decided, you know what? I'm really into Joe Coffey, and I have to. Right. The number's probably zero.
Yeah, I was going to watch the Friends reunion, but I'm going to wait off a sec because Joe Coffey's got a hot match against Sam Stoker today on NXT UK. So I'll get to the Friends reunion and the Saved by the Bell reboot in a bit. But right now, I got to get to Sam Stoker and see what he's doing. So yeah,
I think it's safe to say NXT UK has added 0 viewers from Peacock viewers.
I think that's a fair assumption. Yes,
but there's definitely less network viewers on Peacock for people who just let their subscriptions lapse and didn't bother coming over. But let's be generous and say that there's 800,000 people in the U.S. with access to the network who previously had access to the network before, who still have it now on Peacock. Let's say 800,000. Of those 800,000 now, how many of those people watch NXT UK strictly in America? I would say, all right, if I put the over under at 1,000, what would you?
I would say I would probably take the over, but I'd probably take the over very slightly. I was going to say it's probably 4 digits, but it's probably not much above 4 digits. It might literally be 1,000. It might be 1,002. I don't think I'm comfortable saying 2,000. I think it's somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000.
Yeah.
It's asking a lot. I mean, you got to
I
really
think-
be you got to be kind of a shut in. You know what I mean? Like you're watching.
I think I'd go under 1,000. I think there's under 1,000 people in America watching NXT UK. Is that bold?
No, it's not.
Literally 0 people talk about
It's a
it.
tough time. It's a tough time to get on, and yeah, the only people that talk about it are people that are
Reviewers.
on the show and reviewers. And even the reviewers, it's like you're dyed in the wool. Like real hardcore reviewers are the ones that are checking it out. So.
Yeah. But maybe we're way off. Who knows? Maybe that's some monster following. Highly
So
doubtful.
I didn't know you could actually time. I'm watching Joe and Mod King Joe Lanza over here. Someone makes a comment about listening to this at higher speeds, and you time them out for 300 seconds. I see.
Listen. I
No
told you
dopes.
this was
No dope
this-
chat room. You weren't lying. Wow.
this is the No Dopes chat room, and if you make jokes about listening to this show on like 1.5 speed, you're out. I don't have any time for you.
For 300 seconds.
Yeah, you're out. That's a warning shot.
Right.
After that, you're out for good.
Oh, you're not kicking Rich Ladd out. Get out of here.
You listen. It's the No Dopes chat room, Rich. What's that? I know we're bouncing all over the place, but we were talking about my incredible acapella skills before. What's that acapella movie with Anna Kendrick? What's the name of that?
Oh, you are definitely asking the wrong person.
Can't think of the name of that. We all have Google in our pockets. Let me see.
Yeah.
The what's the I can't even spell acapella. Acapella movie with Anna Kendrick. Are you someone who types the entire question?
Yes,
into
of course.
Google?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay, you have to. What's the acapella movie with Anna Kendrick? Pitch Perfect.
Ah,
Remember the
Pitch Perfect. Okay. Yeah, I have seen it. I have seen it. Not bad. It's actually not a bad flick.
Oh, it's a movie you've seen,
Oh,
huh?
I've seen it. Yeah. It's all right.
I don't know why I brought
It's
that
not
up. I
good.
was just thinking
It's fine.
about acapella.
It's got
It's
got a
silly.
good narrative. It's got a good narrative. It's silly.
Silly.
It's fine. Yeah.
Fat Amy, very funny.
Yeah. I mean, I'll watch that shit over any of the fucking MCU movies or any goddamn Transformers bullshit or anything like that. So we talked about that before. So
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
got no time for any of that stuff. I'd rather watch a rom-com or just a stupid movie like Pitch Perfect over that stuff any day. 4-hour fucking superhero movie. Get out of here.
Listen, I'm with you. I got a toner for Anna Kendrick. I'll tell you that. So what was I saying? The Australian shows were like an appetizer as we circle back 18 minutes.
Yeah.
The Australian shows were like an appetizer for the full crowds. But once Double or Nothing happened, it's like now it's a real challenge to watch stuff, with 18 people in the crowd all wearing masks who aren't allowed to fucking be vocal at all. It's rough, Rich. It's not
Right, we've seen the
not
other
easy.
side now, and it's hard to go back to what we've had before. It was easier, like you said, when it was just Australia, and you're like, all right, well, look, they're kind of their own thing, they're on their own island. But when it's in your backyard now, and you're like, dude, I can go to a wrestling show and go make noise and it be a full crowd. Like, I can watch wrestling shows now with full crowds. WWE is going to be in full crowds. NXT already, or AEW already in full crowds. The other companies I'm sure to follow very, very shortly too in terms of having full crowds. It is very hard now when it's in your backyard to then go back to, the clap crowds in Japan and just be like, oh, wow, they're really clapping loud for Yoshihashi here. It's just, it's tricky. It's tough. So I was able, we'll talk about Dragon Gate. I was able to kind of deal with it in Dragon Gate, but I was not able to deal with it very well in New Japan. It definitely hit me like a ton of bricks in New Japan.
I watched New Japan. I watched the entire Dragon Gate King of Gate show. I watched both All Japan Junior Battle of Glory shows. I got up early today, way earlier than a JL is accustomed to getting up at. I mean, basically crack of dawn. I was up getting all this stuff in.
I think it was 8 a.m., wasn't it?
Yeah, I got up at like 9 a.m. today. Crazy, like before double digits, dude. Like 9 a.m.
Real early, yeah. Rooster's still going, and the sun just
Listen,
barely
you
creaking
know,
out through the horizon. Yeah,
there's a rooster on a ranch across the street over here that starts crowing at like 4:30 in the morning. It's ridiculous.
yeah. You got to hear that thing at night, probably, right? As you're watching some,
When I first moved in, like whenever I have guests for the first time from New Jersey, they always notice the rooster and it wakes them up. I don't hear it anymore. But and when we first moved in, I heard the rooster. It's jarring at first, but then you after 10 years you get used to it. But yeah, that fucking thing starts going 4:30. I thought they waited till the sun came up. These roosters.
They're a little early. Yeah, I think they I think the first bit of sun they start going off and going.
What's his deal? Like, there's no point to it.
I don't exactly know why they do that. That was we stayed at last year. We stayed at a place in Colorado when we were at the Rocky Mountain National Park, and they said, there's a lot of elk nearby, so you might hear them in the morning, but it shouldn't be too bad. You should be just fine. And we're like, oh, okay, whatever. Who cares? You know, we're just kind of like, yeah, whatever. At 3:30 a.m., these things just... Have you ever heard what an elk sounds like?
I'm sure it's a hideous sound.
It is so... They scream. They just, like, you see this big, giant animal, and you think that they would just make some, like, you know, basic noise or, like, a grunt or whatever. They squeal and scream, and these things would fucking... At 3:30... they were off, and it was just like, all right, well, I guess we're up. Like, and it was so close. It was in like this area right next to our hotel, and I was just like, all right, well, they weren't lying about the elk, but they certainly, I'd say, undersold it a little bit in terms of, they might be like you though. They don't hear the elk anymore. To them, it's not a big deal, but for somebody who lives, you know, not near elk in their backyard, it was a little jarring to hear them at first. So.
Yeah, no, I'll probably never be in the vicinity of an elk unless I'm at a zoo. Do they have elk at zoos?
Yeah, I suppose they could. I don't know that
zoo animal.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if the zoos that I've been to have any elk. I'm sure there are. They're probably just, you probably just don't remember seeing them. You know, they're not really like
pretty nondescript.
Yeah, they're not good zoo animals. You know what I mean? Like, elk are really cool, and when you're up to them, when you're nearby them, they're really like they're huge.
Wait a minute. Well, hold on. Went up to them? Are you crazy?
No. I'm not like next to it. I'm saying when you're near, there's fences and stuff, so you can get kind of near them and stuff like that. I just mean they're cool in the wild, but they're not like when you're at a zoo, you're not going to get excited about this. I mean, when you're at the zoo, you're there for the heavy hitters. You know what I mean? You're there for the tigers and the lions and you know, if you got dolphins, you're in there. I mean, you're in for that stuff. You're not in for like, you know, here's this animal that's just readily available like in many places throughout this country. Like that doesn't get you going.
Yeah, I thought, you know, I'm like, what are you, Steve Irwin over here? Like,
I'm not. No, I'm no, and that is a. By the way, that is a national park thing as well. They constantly remind people, do not go up to animals, and they do this. You know, they did it a ton. Any place you go that there's bears. We talked about the bears a few weeks ago on the show, or maybe last week. The other problem too is bison. People decide I'm going to get very close to a bison, and there are. I'm not kidding. Anywhere where there are bison, there are 1,000 signs that say you should be a football fields away from a bison because they look docile and they're huge, but they can run. You know, they're like 90 miles per hour if they want to start running. And oh yeah, they have giant horns and they'll fucking gore you. That does. I mean, it never fails. And anytime you see a bison on the road, there's somebody that stops, gets out, and they're like 20 feet away from it trying to get a good picture on their phone. And you're like, you idiots, like, what are you doing? And then eventually a ranger has to come up and like blare, you know, a horn and just say like, you know, that thing could turn around and kill you in like 2 seconds. And it happens a lot. It happens very often. Like we went to Yellowstone last year, and I think a week after we went to Yellowstone, someone got gored and killed by a bison because they were like going up next to it and trying to touch it. And it's like, don't do that. What are you doing?
Who? Why?
These idiots. I don't know. And it's also like, you can't even say, oh, I didn't know. Like there's literally every step you take, they're like, don't go near the bison, don't go near the bison, don't go near the bison. This person still decided, you know what? I'm going to get very close to this bison and touch it on the butt. And then it turns around and it fucking gores them and kills them. So, which they honestly deserve, if we're being honest. So.
These people think they're Bear Grylls or whatever that guy's name is. Who's the guy who lives out in the
Bear Grylls, yeah.
Jeez. No, I had nothing to do with it. You know, I'll stick with the David Attenborough specials on Netflix. I'm not going near these animals. I'll just,
the zoo. You're a zoo guy, right? You like the zoo.
Oh yeah, I love the zoo. I'll go to the zoo. Yeah, big fan of the zoo.
What's your favorite zoo animal? Don't say something stupid either. Let's get a deep cut here. Let's get a deep cut zoo animal.
I didn't know I was going to be judged for my favorite zoo.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't want something.
Now I'm embarrassed to answer.
Oh,
like now I'm shy about it. Like because I feel like when now you're like, that's a chalk animal, and I'm like, well,
right. You're like, I like the gazelles. I'm like, you idiot.
It made me feel very sheepish about my animal choice here. So I don't know if I want to tell you. You know, David Attenborough is 95 years old. That motherfucker
really?
Is still narrating those Netflix specials, which I'll be honest. The only reason I watch them is because they're in 4K, so I want to get use out of my 4K TV. So you're like, I don't want to watch something in 4K just because I bought this fucking 4K TV. Oh, Our Planet. Okay, I'll put Our Planet on.
They're good. They're good. Oh yeah. Well, I don't have unfortunately, I don't have a 4K TV. I'm not Mr. Moneybags over there, but they're readily affordable. I just don't need it. But I watch a lot of the Our Planets, like fall asleep at night. They're great, like relaxation stuff, where it's just like the majestic gazelle, and they're just like running, and you're like, oh, that's pretty cool. Like, it's a drone shot over 10,000 gazelles running and out, and you're like, oh, that's cool. And then you fall asleep within like 10 minutes, no fail. Like if you're ever hyped up or can't fall asleep, I use it a lot for post flagship shows, trying to fall asleep, because that's tough. Like people don't realize you get in this zone here with this flagship, you can't get up for 3 hours and then crash right away and go to sleep.
No,
like, that just doesn't happen.
I'm all jacked up. I listen back. Yeah.
Well, that's insane.
Absolutely.
But no, I have to calm down a little bit, because I need to get to sleep at a reasonable time, and Our Planet does a really good job of that. So he's got a good voice. The footage is always good enough. It really, really good footage. It looks great on any TV that you have. It's just it's nice calming stuff. So
I have a major complaint though with those Netflix nature specials, and really all nature specials these days. They never show the animals killing each other. Like when I was a kid, you'd watch a nature special on like a Saturday or Sunday afternoon, and they'd show like, a cheetah going after a gazelle or something, and it would catch it, and then it would rip it apart, its flesh, and it would eat it, and you'd see all that. Do you notice they never show that anymore? Like
I do. I do.
The hunts are always unsuccessful.
Right, because I watch a lot of them, and what will happen is the nurse will be next to me, and she's like, "Oh no," because it's like a cute animal that's getting hunted by a very aggressive animal.
Oh, no worries, they're never gonna get it.
And I always tell her, I'm like, "Don't worry, like it's not gonna get him. Like there's no way. Like the that thing is gonna get away. The meerkat is gonna get away. Do not worry." And she's like, "Oh, all right." And then the cheetah's running after the meerkat and running after it, and running after it, and she's like, "Oh, I don't want to watch." And then it's like, the meerkat escapes again. It's just like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
Like this
so
young cheetah should wait for the next hunt. It's like, as it licks its lips and then walks away in the other direction, and the meerkat's, in the hole.
And Attenborough has to rub it in. The puma will have to wait another day.
Will wait another day
for a possible meal. And it's like, no, I wanted to see the meal now. Like, that's why I'm watching this. I'm like, could you show us the footage from tomorrow then, when the puma does get the meal? Because that's the only reason I'm fucking watching this thing. Yeah, it's very frustrating. Like, I don't know where the change occurred, where they feel like they can't show that anymore. About the only thing they'll show is like when a fish eats another fish. They'll show you that.
Yeah, or like they'll show like otters eating fish. Like they have no problem with that. Fish murder is fine. They don't care.
They will show you the fish. And the other thing, they'll show you bugs getting eaten all day long too. The bugs attacking each other, or like a frog eating a bug, or like a bug eating another bug. But you never get the good kills.
No mammal on mammal violence.
No mammal on mammal. Yeah, you don't get the mammal on mammal. And I don't really understand that. Like it's. I mean, if you don't want to watch, I understand if people don't want to see that. I get it. But at the same time, like, it's just nature. Like, that's the point. That's why we're watching this thing, to see how shit works. Cycle of life, all that. I wonder what point we reached where they felt like that wasn't, appropriate anymore. It doesn't. I don't know.
Right. I mean, like what year did they decide, or what version of Our Planet did they decide? Okay, we got to stop. We can't have Can't have the animals getting destroyed and eaten alive here. So we gotta figure it out. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I don't need rural Canadians clubbing seals. Like, I don't need to see that. But if you want to show me a fucking tiger getting a hold of a fucking zebra or something, I'll check that out. I think that's interesting. But I don't know. Somehow Australian crowds brought us here.
Somehow it got us there. Well, it is the land of many animals, and very scary animals as well. But we have plenty of stuff to get to today. Quick note, Joe, your mic is a little scratchy right now. Just pointing it out.
You know what? All right, let me see what I can do.
I didn't want to blow your spot up. But anyway, as Joe's kind of fixing his stuff there, I do want to let you know we are talking about many different things today. We're going to get into NWA's When Our Shadows Fall, coming up this weekend on Fight TV for $19.99. We'll talk about if it's worth the money. The entire card, which we finally do have despite no matches, all but one match, or only one match being announced on the Go Home show. But we'll talk about the entire card there. Dragon Gate's King of Gate Finals was this morning, so we'll talk about the King of Gate Finals. Joe watched the entire show. I watched the major matches on that as well. New Japan. The Road to Dominion shows. We've had 2 Road to Dominion shows. We'll talk about the main events for both of those big title matches on both of those. My goodness. There we go. And then Dominion, the card coming up for Dominion this weekend as well. So some news and notes about Dominion as well. It's supposed to be on 6/6. It's obviously going to be taking place a day after instead on June 7th. So we'll talk about that. And then we'll get to these WWE cuts and some rumors and speculation about WWE being put up for sale and what Joe and I both think of those rumors or those kind of discussions going on. So, Joe, how are you looking there, Mike-wise? I guess that's my answer. Not great. Okay, I don't know. We'll wait and see what Joe does. So, hey, how's it going, guys? Impromptu Q&A. Hey, someone in the chat room, ask me a question, and I'll answer it for you right now. If you're in the No Dopes chat room right now, first question that comes out, I will answer it. But go ahead as Joe desperately tries to fix his microphone here so we can get it there. But he makes ungodly noises. So I am going to mute Joe right now so we kind of get him. Okay. All right. There we go. Joe's muted for right now. Anyway, question out to the No Dope chat room. First one to get a question in. Matthew, will we get a run in? Maybe in about 35 minutes because the nurse is not here right now. She is working. Not right now. All right. Well, guys, you guys are asking really real questions here. Okay, this is a good one. Richard Carlson, did you get any weed while in Colorado? Yes, I did. Got it in Denver. There you go. All right, Joe, are you back? You are back. All right, sound good.
Yes.
God, I want to answer any of these questions anyway. Good. All right.
Those were awful questions.
They're like real questions. Like, hey, where do you think?
that was so bad. You probably have to edit all of that out. It was terrible.
Have to. Yeah, I thought it would be a little bit better than that.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's just the straight up dope chat room. I mean, it was pretty awful.
Thought we get some fun, juicy stuff. It's like, hey, who's going in the NBA Finals? Like, do you really want me to answer that? Like, who cares? Anyway. Yeah. What do I got for the NBA Finals? Bucks Clippers. Let's go with that. Anyway, I don't know. All right, Joe, you ready to get into these WWE cuts? Let's do it. All right, so we had some more unfortunate budget cuts. This $1 billion company had some more budget cuts. We'll talk about that in a minute because there's this speculation about WWE being for sale. You, me, and Brandon Thurston are the only people in the universe that don't think that's true, but we'll touch on that in a little bit. I think we'll lead into that in a bit. But what I do want to talk about right now is the people that were cut, the names, and give some speculation about where we think they might end up, what their runs in WWE were like, what's next for them, all that sort of stuff. So I will run down a list. We'll react to all these guys and girls and think about and talk about what they're going to do and what's next for them. So I'll start out right at the top with Braun Strowman. And by the way, I should note as well, patreon.com/voicewrestling, $10 tier. You have a great write-up that basically does this, talks about every one of these people, where that you think they're going to end up, where you think, their careers went, and some pretty good analysis about each and every one of those. So I hate to double up on that, but if you do want to read it, it is on a $10 tier. But now I can give my thoughts a little bit, and you can kind of expand your thoughts or update your thoughts too, because somebody may have been updated over the last 24 hours, and I tend to think I know who that person is. We'll get to him at the end, but let's start out first with Braun Strowman, who kind of the shock of all these releases, I would say. A guy that felt like a WWE lifer, a guy that felt like he'd be there for a long time, a graduate of the Performance Center, arguably one of the best men, from built up from the Performance Center, brought in, developed, and then released to the Wild and released to the main roster. I mean, of the men on the roster, he is probably at the top of the list of projects, like real Performance Center projects. Like the reason you spend all this money on this Performance Center is for people like a Braun Strowman, and to get him to that level and get him to the main roster. And it pretty much worked out, but similar to something that you and I have said for years about Braun Strowman is he is one of, and correct me if I'll kind of get your thoughts on this as well, but he to me is maybe the best example of that star-making machine being broken, that what WWE used to be able to do and what they did for 30 years kind of died with Braun Strowman in a lot of ways because there's just no reason this guy shouldn't have been a star. He looked the way that they wanted him to look. He was a performance center guy, like we said. He had a really, really good look as well, like a really projectable look. He was decent enough in the ring. You could do enough with him that you needed to. Like, he felt like the perfect package. He felt like everything you would want in that company. Now, if Rich Kraetsch is booking a promotion, is Braun Strowman at the top of my list? I don't think so. He's like, I probably not. But for that company, what that company always used to do and what that company, purports to do and develop stars and that sort of stuff, he is one of the best guys. Like, he is everything you would want in it. And they largely just never really went anywhere with him. And you talked about all the time, like, if you were booking Braun Strowman, you would know every single Braun Strowman loss ever. You would say, oh, well, he lost to this guy, and that's it. He's lost twice, all time, to these top tier guys or whatever. And at a certain point, they just decided that Braun Strowman could win and lose at will, and it didn't matter. And then occasionally he would just lift an ambulance or something, or he'd have some supernatural powers. And once that started happening, once he became just a guy on the roster that could lose, and then when he became just another guy that can do farcical things, and it doesn't matter week to week or whatever, he just became another guy, just another blip in the radar, just another part of the blob or whatever. And it's unfathomable that this guy would be in the blob and that we'd come to this point as well where he's so much in the blob that they can just say, you know what, hey, we're paying you X amount of dollars, which is pretty hefty money. I think it's $1 million or something that he was getting paid. And they look at it and go, well, we're not getting a return on investment in that. You're done. And it's nuts. Like, he is a guy that I just don't understand how that company couldn't do something with this guy. And it makes me wonder and maybe finally decide that this company, the machine is broken. If you can't make Braun Strowman into a guy in this company, that machine's broken.
Well, they had a window with Braun Strowman, and we talked about it at the time when they had that window. When they were pushing him as a monster, no pun intended because of his dopey nickname, but he was just winning matches and doing those silly feats of strength, and he was getting over the old-fashioned way by beating people and looking impressive and being treated like he was unstoppable and being treated like a star, and he started to get over. But the timing was all wrong because they were in the middle of, one of their endless attempts to get Roman Reigns over as a big baby face when Braun got over, and they weren't going to let Braun get in the way of that. So they had to snuff that out. And we've seen them do that sort of thing with other people over the years, and it makes no fucking sense. If somebody starts to get over, go with it. And we were screaming at the time, they could go with this and make this guy. But because they had their long-term plan with Roman, and I don't even remember in particular what feud it was for Roman or what they were building to, they snuffed it out, and they never got it back with Braun. And a lot of that was the way they booked him moving forward, like you kind of alluded to. They just booked him like a guy. It's like, I don't even know why they bother recruiting and calling up and pushing these giants anymore, because they'll treat them like giants for a little while, and then eventually they just become another guy on the roster who happens to be big.
Right. Almost is probably almost already there, for lack of a better term. Like, he's pretty close already to just being a guy on the roster, which is nuts. I mean, we always say it, it's like, it's so nuts that this company that was so good at booking giants, so good for so many years at booking big guys. And this dates back all the way to 1999. It dates back all the way to the Big Show when Vince McMahon was so confident that, oh my God, WCW has no idea what they're doing with this guy. If I had a chance to get him, and then within 2 weeks he's losing and he's just turning and he's just a guy. Like, they made him just a guy immediately, and they could, they would polish him off every so often and turn him into a giant or whatever, but it was always short term. It was always a couple months, and then he was right back to being a dude, just being a guy on the roster. And it's unfathomable that this company that was so good and so predicated on building monsters like this and doing such a good job of doing it just doesn't know how to do it anymore. Just completely lost the idea of how to handle it. And this guy, I mean, he could go to an extent. Like, he wasn't a horrendous, this is a Giant Gonzalez, you know what I mean? This isn't, these any guy, like, Omos is, I like Omos, like, Omos is a pretty fun wrestler, but I don't know that Omos can really work. Like, I think they can try to hide it and masquerade it, enough to make him, a decent guy or whatever. But, like, Braun, for all of his warts and stuff, he could go pretty well. I mean, he wasn't that bad. And so it felt like, all right, well, here's this giant monster that looks like $1 million, has a great voice, like a wrestling voice, like can cut wrestling promos and all that sort of stuff. And they just never, it just never kind of got there with him. And it's wild. And it got to the point where, he's making $1 million, and they have to look and go, go, you're not worth it. We'll talk about that here in a bit. We'll talk about that in a bit. But
there with him, but they did get there with him, but they didn't want it. They didn't want
to get there with him. Yeah.
They and then they just booked him like another guy. They booked him like they booked Big Show for 15 years.
Well, and we made that the direct comparison, because if you remember when Braun was getting hot, it was right before WrestleMania, and like every single year, you know, the main babyface, and they did it last year or whatever before he got released, but like the babyface always has to get through the monster to get to WrestleMania. That's just a Vince McMahon thing he has done for years and years and years. And then we were screaming, hey guys, I know you're excited about Braun, but like WrestleMania's coming up. He is only there to lose to Roman, to get Roman up to the next level. And it's exactly what happened. And we said, hey, just so you know, the train, I mean, you would make those train noises, actually, ironically, even though Braun would be the guy who would eventually, you know, get the train noises attached to him, but like you would make those the Roman train noises.
The range train.
Yeah, the range train. Like it's going. Like you can try, but you're not going to. And he maybe is the biggest victim of that they had something there, but they couldn't adjust, they couldn't move, and the plans were what they were. So the range train came and just fucking ran him over, and then he, you know, became just the dude that sometimes puts people through barricades, and now he's gone.
Yeah, I mean, they had to do the same thing with Daniel Bryan a few years earlier, but the fans just willed that one and forced their hand with it. And they didn't do that with Braun. When they snuffed out Braun, the fans gave up on Braun, and then that was it. And then it was just, he was terribly booked from that point forward. I mean, he teamed with a little kid, which was, you know, completely absurd. That's something you do with R-Truth. You know what I mean? If you must do that.
That was that WrestleMania too. That was like months after he was hot, right?
I don't know if it was that year or the year after.
I'm pretty sure it's hard. It's hard to match up the Roman destroys everybody on the way to WrestleMania years. But
if you must do that kind of nonsense, you do it with R-Truth. You don't do it with a guy who looks like that, who could be a huge star for you. It's just, you know, it's boring picking on their booking because it's so bad. You know, it's boring at this point. But yeah, he's a guy they totally screwed up. They had something handed to them, but they didn't want it. You know, it's and not about. They built
it too. I think that's the other thing that's just infuriating is they built this guy. This is why guys like Braun Strowman are why you build this performance center. Guys like Braun Strowman are why you invest all this money into it. You know, that's why you spend millions of dollars every single year and you bring in 300 different people and all that sort of stuff. Is to, you know, get a gem like this, to get a guy like a Braun Strowman out of it is why you invest in it, and it's why the performance center exists. And it just, you know, they did not like this. That's not the way. That's not how we wanted it. We didn't want this guy. And it's just like it's
the wrong time.
It's the wrong time. Yeah, it's wild. It's just like the time is whenever the time is. You know what I mean? There's not a right or wrong time.
Sometimes you just got to go with it. I mean, you know, you want to manipulate it to some extent, but sometimes something happens and you just have to go with it. But they're so rigid in it's got to be who we pick, when we pick them, the way that we want it to happen. And there's just no room for anything else unless the fans absolutely force the hand, like they did with Daniel Bryan that one year, like they did with Kofi Kingston, where you really just don't have a choice. But yeah, they blew it with Braun, and after that, he just wasn't booked well enough. And honestly, I don't even think it would have mattered. I mean, even if they would have tried with Braun again, I think the fans just, you know, sometimes that's how wrestling is. Like you have a window, and if you miss it, it's gone.
Yeah. Oh, the wrestling world is littered with guys over the course of the years that it was, oh, this guy had a hot run and he was the guy, and then they missed the window and it was just over for him. So.
Right. And I think that's what happened with Braun.
Mm-hmm.
And he had the big contract. He was making it. Look, here's the thing, you know, from a budget cutting perspective, if you want to look at it from that point of view, if you really feel like this guy is never going to be a top guy and you feel like you're not going to get a return on your investment, you can pay 20 performance center trainees what you're paying one Braun Strowman. So from that perspective, it makes sense to cut a guy like that. If you're going to be in the business of cutting budget, that's one of the first guys naturally that's going to go. I mean, because you could pay 20 people $50,000 a year and spend that $1 million, or you can pay one Braun Strowman $1 million, a guy that probably is, you know, you missed the boat on. So, you know, to make a sports comparison, he's the overpriced veteran that, you know, when a team, you know, decides that they're in, you know, payroll slashing mode, that's the kind of guy that goes. It's an indictment of their entire system that it got to that point, you know, and because he should be a major star right now. And as far as what happens with him moving forward, I mean, he's the kind of guy who might never wrestle again. I mean, because, he's a system guy, and he's already said derogatory things about indie wrestlers in the past. He has already been quoted as saying things like, when WWE is done with me, I'm hanging up my boots. That'll be the end of my wrestling career, because he probably views this as the pinnacle of the business and anything else being a step backwards. So he might be the kind of guy with that sort of mindset. He might not even answer the phone if another promotion calls.
Yeah.
If Tony Khan calls him, he might just be like, well, you're not Vince McMahon. You're not the WWE. I'm not interested in that. I could totally see him
absolutely
being the kind of guy with that mindset. But, if he sees that there is still big money to be made in wrestling, maybe he will answer the phone for someone else. I mean, in another era, Japan would be all over him. I mean, that's
my
like,
God. Yeah.
Right now with COVID, forget it. Japan's in complete disarray. There's no way anyone could afford to bring him in, number one, because he's not gonna get out of his bed for less than, guy was making over $1 million a year. So you're not gonna get him.
Yeah, he's not doing your indie show for $800.
$500 a night.
Right. That's not happening.
It. Yeah. So his options are pretty limited to the US, and I don't know, Ring of Honor or AEW wants to make a call. There's money to be made out there. It's just a matter of, he could be the kind of guy who might just disappear and go play softball with his dad. If people don't know, his father is like a professional softball legend. And Braun has a softball background. This pro softball circuit where all they do is, crush home runs, for 6 innings. It's actually a pretty ridiculous sport. It's all like 300-pound dudes.
Yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. They play.
There's crush home runs.
Yeah, so they have. There's not a 12-inch because obviously I'm in Chicago, so we play a lot of 16-inch softball, the softer 16-inch softball, and there's the World Championships of 16-inch softball. Are in the town that I work in, actually, so it's coming up pretty soon. Actually, I think, and I always slide over there on my lunch hours on the week that they're playing or whatever. And even that with 16-inch, it's everybody. They're all 300 pounds. And they just they just kill these balls. And these are 16-inch softballs, and they still put them onto the fucking highway that's behind this field. It's just absolutely.
It doesn't even resemble baseball.
No, it's it's nothing. Yeah, it's and I've played in leagues with guys that are like they're not to this level, but they're guys that can pretty much hit a home run every single time. Yeah. And what the strategy is with that is you can only get X amount of home runs in a game.
Right.
And then the strategy is, and this would happen all the time. Not with me. I wasn't hitting home runs out there. They actually liked me. But there'd be 7 guys on this team that would hit home runs. What would happen is some guy would, a pitch would come and he'd swing, and then you hear him go, fuck, and he'd throw his bat down and it would leave the fence. But it was a solo home run. And they're like, oh, what are you doing?
Right.
And they would chew him out, and they'd be like, come on, man, get your head in the game. Like, let's go. And I'm like, oh, all right, good hit, man. And it's like, no, you only hit home runs if it's bases loaded. You only hit home runs if it's, and I'm like, oh, all right. Like,
yeah, the idea is to get people on base. And then
right. So if the bases are empty, you're supposed to swing down and not try to hit a home run. Yeah, you hear these guys
wasting a home run.
Right. So these guys would swing and just hit it like fucking 450 feet, and then they'd slam their bat down and they'd kick the dirt. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, it's so weird. It's a very odd world. Yeah. But I was never in that world. I'd slap a double to the right side. You know what I mean? They liked me because I was never a threat to hit any home runs. So.
Yeah, it's a bizarre sport when it gets to the highest level. So, he might go do that. He's obviously has money. So he it's very weird to predict. If I'm Tony Khan, of course I pick up the phone. You'd be insane.
Yeah, you're irresponsible. Any wrestling promoter that does not at least kick the tires on Braun Strowman is bad at their job.
Just look at the guy. I mean, look at him. I don't know what his, of course the price tag is going to matter and all those things, but, and he may be so damaged at this point that you can't get anything out of him. I don't know, but
you got to make the call. You got
to give it a shot. I mean, look at the guy. He's just so unique. Yeah. He's 6'6", but he comes across like he's like almost 7 feet tall. Cause he's so large, like his head is big. Like he's just he's an exceedingly large human.
Fucking massive. Yeah. He's just a big boulder of a man. Yeah.
Yeah. So, that's Braun. It's a big question mark what happens with him. So, But again, I mean, when you look at it from that perspective, you can pay 20 Blake Christians what you're paying one Braun Strowman. So, you know, if you're Nick Khan and you're looking at the books, you know, it's an easy one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And we'll talk about that a little bit when we talk about, you know, the rumors about WWE going for sale, because I have some thoughts about that as well. But yeah, a lot of these cuts that we're going to make and a lot of the cuts that are probably going to happen over the next, you know, weeks and months or whatever are probably Nick Khan and the new leadership structure going. So we have this performance center that's churning out guys that can, you know, fill these spots, and we have to pay them, you know, an eighth of what you're paying this guy. Like, why wouldn't we? You know what I mean? Like, we have a guy that looks like Braun Strowman that we could bring up right now. We have, there are probably a ton of monsters. There's a ton of big guys.
Who's making $60,000?
Right. We have, you know, I don't know what Omos is making, but Omos is our new monster. Cool. What is he making? 100,000? Cool. Perfect. Great. He's our monster.
Making $1.5 million. So yeah. And it's, I think during the little Braun segment here is a good time actually to touch on this topic of, I think what we're seeing here, like you alluded to, I'm not convinced they're selling like everybody else.
No, I'm not. I never have been.
I'm not completely writing that off, but I'm not convinced of it. And I don't think any of these moves are indicative of a potential sale. I just think this is the new regime running it like an actual business. For once.
Right. And that's, you know, we had that conversation a month or so ago when we talked about Nick Khan coming in. We talked about those guys coming in, and I said, you know, now officially this is no longer a wrestling company. It is something else. It's a media company. It's whatever. And all the dopes are like, Vince has been saying that for 20 years. It's sports entertainment, not wrestling. And I'm like, you fucking idiots. So shut up. You know what I mean? Like, you're not. I mean, like, quite literally, this is no longer a wrestling company at all. The leadership structure does not think of this as a wrestling company. Vince McMahon, for all the bravado and all the, you know, no, we're not in the wrestling business. Like, he was in the fucking wrestling business. You know what I mean? Like, that's what he was.
He couldn't get that out of his blood.
Right.
I wrote this in the column you plugged already, and it's a tremendous column, and everybody should pay the $10 to go read it. It's Vince McMahon has been talking that talk for decades. Nick Khan is walking that walk.
Yeah, absolutely. Nick Khan
is not treating it.
Yeah,
he's not treating it like a wrestling company. He's treating it like a business. And when you hear him talk, and he always you know, talks about we're an entertainment company. We're trying to be like Marvel. We want to be multimedia. We want to have, you know, make these characters into and do all these different multimedia ventures with them. And they always bring up Marvel as the comparison point. And this is not Wilson and Barrios. This is a new team. He's bringing in all of his cronies that used to be his clients. He's bringing in all his old cronies from DAZN to help him run this thing. And I don't see this as them preparing for a sale. I see it as them just finally running this like a business and not a wrestling business. Vince talked all that shit, but when you're hoarding talent, when you're hoarding up the talent to keep them away from the competitor, when you're counter-programming the competitor, and all of these things are actually counterproductive to the bottom line, you're still playing pro wrestling games from 1987.
Yep.
That's what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And we would talk about it every single year during the quarterly reports, where I would look at the numbers and I'd say, man, why is somebody going to stand up and say, hey, why are we spending this much money on like this and this and this?
Yeah.
And there were
on all these wrestlers. You would always say that.
Right.
Like,
and it was this glaring number that I'm looking at. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, look at the fees that they're paying for like these wrestlers. And it's clear, you know, and for years and years and years, you know, nobody would ask it. And Vince, for all the bravado, he was doing the wrestling game. He didn't want anybody else to have any other options or anybody to go anywhere. So that's what it was. It was anti-competitive pro wrestling stuff that he would do. He'd counter program, he'd counter book, he'd run towns. It's, you know, just every, you know, just do it on a much global, you know, much more global scale.
We're gonna raid New Japan when they start getting hot.
Right.
We're gonna counter program Dynamite. Just because we can.
Right, we're going to hire Jim Ross so that World of Sport doesn't happen. We're going to link up with Progress so that the UK doesn't grow. We're going to make NXT Japan because I don't know what's going on in Japan, but we don't want it to grow. Like, you know what I mean? It was always, you know, anti-competitive stuff to try to stomp out the competition. And what to me, what's clear, and I'm glad we're on the same wavelength, and Brandon's probably the only other person that's on this wavelength from WrestleNomics, and I'm sure we'll talk about it this week, is like, I just think this is a bunch of new guys in the room that just go, who fucking cares about those guys? Like, we're making $1 billion. We have $2 billion deals for our content and another 700,000 or whatever, or 700 million or whatever the hell the USA deal is. We're so far ahead of those guys. Who gives a shit? Like, let him have Braun Strowman. Who gives a shit? Yeah, fire this guy. He's $1 million. Let AEW sign him. We don't care. And that's not, Vince never talked that, or never walked that walk. He always said he was, I don't care about the competition. I care about sports entertainment and wrestling, and we don't do that wrestling. But he always ran this like a wrestling company. This is not wrestling company stuff. This is guys looking at the bottom line and going, why the hell are we paying this guy $1 million? And Vince not having a good answer, and them going, fuck this guy, get him out of here. Like, we don't need this guy. We can get another giant to play the role of the giant on Raw or the giant on SmackDown. You know what I mean? They can fill that role with another giant. Like, it doesn't. Braun Strowman, the value of a replacement wrestler for Braun Strowman, especially with the way that company works and that company books, is we can just insert anybody into that spot. Who cares? Who gives a shit?
Yeah. Yeah, no.
I don't know if it's going to work. Like, it's probably I mean, hell, it's not working right now, so I don't know. Like,
and people say, well, why do they need to cut costs to begin with? Well, they don't, but
they're a fucking business.
That's not how business works.
Right. I hate to inform you about business. Yeah.
So people will say, oh, well, they just had record revenue and record profit last year. Why did they need to cut? Well, I don't know where you people work. Where I work, the goal from my bosses is to make more money than the year before every year. It doesn't matter if you don't break all of your records and then say, oh, we did it, guys. Let's all retire. No, they want you to then break those records, especially in my line of work.
Oh, yeah. No, we're going through that right now because, I mean, last year, my line of work did incredibly well because of COVID, and we were all like, oh, wow, I mean, this is going to be impossible. We're never going to follow this up again. And every single week now, it's a hey, we got to get things going. We got to get back. And it's like, fuck, like, nobody believed that like last year was going to be it. But now it's like, all right, well, now we did that last year. We can't be okay with saying, hey, well, COVID's over. So now we're doing half of our revenue that we did last year. Like, no, now it's like, all right, fucking all hands on deck. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Like,
yeah, how do we find ways to grow over that? I mean, that's just the way it is in business.
Yeah, Nick Khan's not going, wow, $1 billion. Well, we're good, and puts his feet up on the table and goes, well, that's fine. Like, we've done our job.
No, what Nick Khan wants to do in his first full year is beat what they did when he wasn't there, and to put another feather in his cap. That's his job. So to me, they're just running this like a business.
Welcome to capitalism, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it works. I mean, so I just see it as, and like you're saying, what is one of the most, where are the redundancies in this company? It's the talent. They have 300 people under contract. And I think it may have been Brandon, or it may have been if it wasn't Brandon, I apologize to whoever it was, but I'm pretty sure it was Brandon. 70 people appeared on TV last week across all of their shows, and they have 300 people under contract. They don't need it. So, and you're not going to cut, cutting the $50,000 people that you have stored in the warehouse.
No, those are valuable.
That's not going to make a dent.
That's valuable. That's
exactly.
Learn about sports. That is valuable.
Yes.
The minor leagues in baseball, that's valuable. The G League in basketball, that's valuable. That is, hey, if we can get maximum performance from the people that we're paying $60,000 to, that we'll take that way over whatever the hell we're doing with this guy for $1 million. Even if he's good, hell, if that guy that makes $60,000 is as good or close to good, that's a win.
Yeah, the bottom third of every NFL roster is veteran minimum players and guys on rookie contracts. Because if they can get 80% of the production from a guy on a rookie deal, they're going to keep him on the roster and they're going to cut the guy that was making $3 million if they can get 80% of the production out of the guy on the rookie deal. That's just economics. And that's just, and now the NFL has a salary cap and all those things, so it's a little different. But you can apply it here too, to Strowman. Why pay Strowman $1.5 million when you could pay almost whatever he's making? Or whatever 6'6" guy you have in the warehouse who you can call up and get moving and pay him, whatever you're paying him. So that's what you're seeing here. I believe you're seeing this company being run like an actual business now because there's business people running it and not wrestling people running it.
And I think another thing too, and it's something I always screamed about, is like, hey, you're paying all this amount of money for this performance center, you're getting nothing out of it. I'm very curious what the next year causes, because it might be those guys saying, hey, look, we got this performance center. Like, what are we paying Ruby Riott for? I don't know. I don't know how much Ruby Riott makes. I'm just going to throw a number out. It's just pure speculation. Don't get mad at me or whatever. But let's say Ruby Riott was making $100,000 a year or whatever, conservatively, whatever. That's fine. That's probably it. We have Jade, whoever the fuck, you know what I mean? Like, we're good. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need.
They've got $1 million.
Right. We need somebody with weird hair that's got tattoos. Cool. All right, Ruby, you're out. because you're making $100,000, and we'll bring up, $50,000, whatever the hell Priscilla Kelly is or whatever.
And believe me, she's making a lot more than $100,000.
Right. I don't want to give a number because people get weird about it and stuff. So I went low just in case. But when you talk about Ruby Riott, you can get a replacement level. And I hate to do this, but this is what they're doing in the room. I hate to tell you, this is what they're doing in the room is, all right, well, we can find a girl with tattoos and weird hair on, Jade, whoever, Priscilla Kelly, there's many of them. There's a ton of them on that performance center. So why the hell are we paying Ruby Riott X amount of money when we can just find a woman that can play that role and be that type of person? I mean, that is what the realization I think is for people is going to be this. That's when the shock of all shock. Oh my God, why are you releasing that guy and this guy and this guy and that guy? It's because they're replaceable. Everybody is. There are how many guys that you can count on one hand that are unreplaceable in this company right now?
I think Khan and his team went to McMahon and they said, look, we can cut money on talent. So I think we can cut X amount, and then it's up to Vince who he wants to cut.
Yeah, or honestly, what they probably did is they said, "Hey, who are the untouchables?" I honestly believe it was probably the opposite. People think that Vince gave him a list. I think what they probably did, and I'm guessing this is probably what they did, is and said, "Hey, who can't we cut?" And Vince put a name down, a list down, and they went, "All right, cool." Then spreadsheet, sport by salary, and then go, "All right, well."
At the end of the day, it's Vince's decision to A, decide to cut people, and then B, decide who you're going to cut. Let me be clear on that.
It's not John Laurinaitis? Are you kidding? But people on Twitter told me it was John Laurinaitis, though.
Yeah, but I don't want people to think that we're saying that Nick Khan is making the call.
No. Yeah, no.
It's not the case, but but his job is definitely to say, here's the areas where we can cut back. And then Vince sits down with his wrestling people and says, all right, well, who do we have no use for? And then that's when they, and who do we have no use for who's making, how do we get to X amount of dollars in total cuts here with people that we have no use for? Because we've been advised that we can trim back X amount of dollars on salaries. I mean, that's how the process probably works. And then that's where they say, all right, well, we're paying this guy $1.5 million and we're paying this guy $800,000 and we're not using her and we're paying her $450,000. And then that's where the decisions come in. But, and I do think that's kind of the mindset here. And if you look at this list of 6 people, I mean, yes, some of them, they're shocking names because, again, to use a sports comparison, this round of cuts, usually when WWE makes cuts, it's the end of the bench.
Mm-hmm.
It's the bottom of the roster. It's Matt Cardona and the get hype, stay hype guy,
Mojo Rawley,
and Mojo Rawley types, and people like that. It's the end of the bench. It's the bottom of the roster. It's people who never get pushed. This round of cuts, to make the sports comparison, this was your overpriced veterans. This was your overpriced veterans that you can live without. That in their eyes, which is why some of them look surprising and why some of them look really useful if they land in other places. So this was a different kind of round of cuts than what we usually get out of this. And it's rumored that there's another one coming. I don't know anything. I haven't heard anything, but there's a rumor that this isn't it. And there might be another round coming around the corner. Maybe they just haven't decided on the next batch, and then maybe maybe these were the easy ones. Okay, here's our first 6, but we got to get down another 6 million. So let's figure out what we're going to do. And so there might be more, coming around the corner. Now, remember, last time when there were cuts, they said there's more NXT cuts coming, and it did take a few weeks before they eventually did. Those rumors did eventually come to fruition. So I tend to believe the rumblings that there might be more around the corner because if you're just looking this strictly as a business, they do have way too many people under contract. I mean, it just. Oh yeah,
and it's something I screen about every single quarter when those things.
It's nice to have people on. Now look, it's nice to have people on the bench that you don't have on, but they have 230.
Right, they have 19 benches.
That's just excessive and nonsensical and a total waste of money.
It's just anti-competitive. Yeah, it's just anti-competitive wrestling bullshit.
Right, we all know that that's what it was. But it's if you want to have 30, 40 people in the holster that either are, learning your system at the PC or you're just keeping off a TV, just so you don't overexpose everybody, that's perfectly reasonable.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
230 people under contract that aren't on. on TV at all. I mean, that's just crazy. It just doesn't. And that's what you're saying. Like,
you're never going to sell that to a business guy. Jamie
Right.
Horowitz isn't going to come in here and go, what? Wait, what? We have 200. Like, that's like Jamie Horowitz coming to ESPN or FS1 and saying, all right, well, how many on-air hosts do we have? Well, we have 100. Well, we have 4 shows. Why do we have 100 on-air hosts? Well,
Right.
it's like, well, no, get rid of all those guys. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Think
Yeah.
about it. Get out of your wrestling mind. Like, get out of the wrestling mind and think of what a normal business person and a normal sports business person, a real deal media business person is thinking.
The conversation.
Right.
Like, you can almost envision Nick Khan looking at a spreadsheet
and going, what the fuck is this?
and saying, Vince, why do we have 300 people under contract when 78 people appeared on TV last week?
Right. Yeah.
Well, that AEW show, that blood and guts show on Turner. We gotta keep people away from that blood and guts program on Turner. And Nick Khan probably looks at him and goes, who gives a shit? We are 9 million miles ahead of them.
Right. And he's right. And he's right.
And he's right. He's probably saying, and then Vince is probably saying, well, I don't want them to succeed and get another television con. And Nick Khan's probably saying, again, who gives a shit? What do we care if they get
Let's worry about our next TV deal, not theirs.
an $80 million TV deal? I'm working on billion-dollar deals here. They're not even in. He probably can say, Vince, you will be dead long before they matter.
Right.
So why do you care about them? They do not matter. That's the way a businessman is going to look at it, because he's not interested in the petty pro wrestling 1980 shit. He's just worried about growing the company from where it is now and getting a $2 billion deal next time instead of a $1 billion deal. And, and working those IPs and, trying to do this Marvel bullshit that he's talking about. He doesn't give a fuck if Tommy End walks out on Dynamite in 90 days. He doesn't care.
Yeah, if at all out, Tommy End, Nick Khan's not going to throw his, his iPad against the wall and go, God damn it. They've done it again. They've got Tommy End.
These business people don't care about that shit. So I think that's why you hire the guy, a fresh set of eyes, someone from outside the business who is going to, with a record of success like that guy has, with everything he touches, to come in and say, let's do some things different here. So again, circling back, I'm not completely writing off the possibility, but I am not nearly as sold on this idea that they are just setting up for a sale. I don't buy it. I just think they're making prudent business moves.
Yeah.
The office cuts were all in departments that they're not even, like, once they sold to Peacock, those are the departments they cut from, the content departments.
Yeah. They don't need those
people
guys
who were working on the network. They just don't need those people anymore. So, I mean, that's unfortunate, but again, that's business. That's what happens. I mean, that happens in any business. If you cut a department sometimes. I mean, that's basically what those cuts were in the office, and the talent cuts are. I mean, I don't. We just explained why the talent cuts are happening. I mean, because you don't need all these people.
Yeah, I think as long as Vince is alive, this company is not being sold. Like, when he dies, okay, all bets are off. Once Vince dies, all bets are off. And then I could definitely see it happening, but there is absolutely no way in my mind that right now, while Vince McMahon is running this company, that he's going to let his life's work just get sold and packaged up to NBC or whatever. That's just, it's never ever been his MO. And even if Nick Khan says, hey, this is what we need to do, or this is what I want to do, I think Vince in the room is at least going to say, no, you know what? No, you're not doing it under my watch. I still have the majority votes. I still have the majority shares. I'm still the top of this company. It's not getting sold under Vince. Like maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but I cannot. I can never ever in my mind see Vince McMahon sitting there at a fucking press conference, standing shoulder to shoulder with NBCU insert executive right there and go, "This is a great opportunity for NBC." And no, that's just not. That's not what he's going to do. His life's work has not been to sell it in a package to NBCU. Now, again, as I said, the second he dies, all bets are off. Absolutely, but right now, no, there's no way.
No, I'm totally with you. I still think the best argument against the sale is that Vince doesn't want to live to see someone else running this company. I'm right with you.
This is not a guy who wakes up, doesn't sleep, wakes up at 4 a.m., does everything, doesn't delegate. This guy, his literal life's work has been this company.
And why sell it? I mean, there's two sides to this coin. Like, okay, why would he sell it when it's making more money for him than ever? But then you would say, all right, well, that's when you do sell, right? But But from his perspective, like you said, this is life's work, his family's life's work.
It's the family business. It's the family business.
This goes all the way back to his grandfather and all that bullshit. Okay, I can't see him just cashing it out and selling it. Could he be setting it up knowing that he's getting older, potentially setting it up to cash in those chips after he passes? And did he get his family's blessing for that, dude? But I'm not even sure Stephanie doesn't want to be in this business. Like, she's her father's daughter. You know, so I don't know. I just don't buy it. I can't buy into it. I can't. I don't see I just can't see Vince, like you're saying, being alive and he's not the kind of guy that wants to go hang out on a beach in his twilight years.
No, he doesn't vacation. He doesn't do anything. I mean, he runs this company. That's what he's done every day of his entire life since he was, 31 years old is run this company and call people at 3 a.m. with ideas. Yeah, he'd die the next day.
What would he do if he sold it?
Yeah.
Remember the Nick Khan quote from the Colin Cowherd interview where he said that somebody asked Vince once, "Hey, where do you summer?" And Vince was like, "What?" And the other business person was like, "Where do you summer?" And Vince didn't even know what that meant. He's like, "I don't." He's like, "What are you talking about?" And the guy's like, "Well, where do you vacation in the summer?" And Vince was like, "I don't. I'm in Connecticut 12 months a year. I work." He's not the kind of guy who wants to sell the business and go fucking hang out on an island somewhere. It's just not who he is. So, even from that perspective, I can't see him selling. But like you said, once he's dead, all bets are off.
Yeah, for sure.
But he could live 10 more years. He's 75.
Yeah, somehow his mom is still alive, which is the greatest fun fact I've ever heard, is that his mother is still alive, which I can't even fathom how old that woman is.
Yeah, so even if it's like he's trying to position his family for after he's gone, does Vince McMahon strike you as the kind of guy who fears death and thinks death is around the corner? No, God, no,
because I saw some people being like, well, his brother died. He's probably like, I don't fucking care. My brother's an asshole. Like, my brother isn't like me. My brother doesn't work out, or my brother wasn't keep... you think Vince McMahon, who has been in this fucking this business, this wrestling business, fears death? How many people have died in and around him? You think that his brother dying is going to make him go, oh, God, what am I doing with my life? Like, he doesn't care. He eats his fucking steak wrap and ketchup and goes and lifts weights and gets back at it.
Like anyone that age, I'm sure he's feeling his mortality to some extent. I mean, that's just, but at the same time, I could also see him being the kind of guy who thinks he's got 20, 25, 30
absolutely.
more years.
Yeah, he gets in the gym and does his fucking bench presses and thinks, I'm not dying anytime soon.
He might think he's immortal. He's crazy too. That's the other thing. So I don't think he's the kind of guy who's sitting around waiting to die.
No.
And even if he is, a lot of those older guys are afraid that when they retire that they are going to die. That's the old sportscaster thing. They're all afraid that as soon as they retire, they're going to die.
Yeah, that's why Bob Uecker will have to be literally wheeled out until the day he dies doing Brewers games. Because, the second he stops doing Brewers games, he's done.
Yeah. Dick Enberg used to say that all the time, and he literally called sports
he died immediately after?
Yeah. He retired and then he died. He ended up being right. So it's like, these guys, they feel like work gives them a purpose. And again, I don't even think he sees himself as a decrepit old man.
God, no.
He thinks he has, he just, so I don't know. I don't buy the theory either. Maybe the egg will be on our face and they do sell it in a year or something. And of course you always listen. I mean, if someone comes at you with but I think there's just a sentimental part of Vince where this family business, it's going to be worth more to him than, some incredible deal that comes to the table. But this would be the time where they would get one of those deals with all of these streaming wars and these content wars that are happening. So I understand why people have this theory. You see budget cuts. You see what's happening in media right now, and it all adds up. You see an aging owner. All of these things are typically signs, right? But I do think this is a unique situation. I think it's a unique situation. You see it. You see this headhunter brought in to fucking this guy who specializes in these things. So there's a lot of evidence that points to this, and I get why the theory is out there, and that's why I don't completely write it off. But I am not buying into it either.
No, and I think it's just also, like we said, they're operating like a business now, and they're operating like a real company, not a wrestling company.
That's how I see it.
Like, the roster has been, I mean, what the moves that they've made over the last 10 years or whatever have all been, like, just spending to be anti-competitive and just spending so that nobody else can grow and that nobody else can have any talent and nobody else can have any, and that's, they're just leaning out. Like and people see leaning out as a sale. Well, I just think leaning out is what, like you said, like if somebody got to the table, a business guy got to the table and looked at a spreadsheet and goes, what the hell are we doing here? Why are you doing this? And Vince has no real good answer, and they go, no, fuck this. Cut $8 million. We're fine, Well,
I mean, just look at it from a dollars and cents perspective. Okay, if the goal is to make more money than last year, they've sold all of their content and everything is under contract for at least the next 3, 4, 5 years.
You need another thing to make money with.
So how else you can't, and we're still in COVID. You were just getting back on the road now. House show money is a pittance. It's nothing. It's a drop in the bucket compared to what they're making now. So that's not going to be it. So how are you going to beat the year before now? By cutting costs. That's the only way to do it. You have nothing left to sell. There's no more contracts to earn because you've already sold all of your content for the next half decade. So just look at it from a dollars and cents perspective. The only way to have a profit growth at this point is to spend less money, because there's very little ways that you can earn more money now that you have sold all of this content without creating more content, which is the next step. And they want to do it outside the ring with, the licensing and that stuff is now thinking 3 steps ahead, which is what Nick Khan is known for in the industry, for being a guy that thinks 2 and 3 steps ahead.
Mm-hmm. And that's why those new hires, and we won't get into them here, but your Jamie Horowitzes and a few of the other guys, they're cronies that are all, going to be doing other stuff outside. Those guys probably won't even know, they'll probably never watch an episode of Raw. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter. They're not going to matter to Raw. They're not going to matter to the booking. They're going to be all about movies and licensing and all these other things that are well beyond the wrestling business, because they're a media company now. So once and for all, they are finally there after all the years of bravado and bullshit. But anyway, that was Braun Strowman and some other stuff as well. Let's get to some of the other cuts.
Braun had the big salary, so it made sense.
Yeah.
To do
exactly.
That.
He's easy, replacement level big guy. So there you go.
Yeah.
And I mentioned Ruby Riott before as well. Again, I like Ruby Riott. I like Heidi Lovelace. I think she'll be great on the Indies. But yeah, I mean, from a purely business standpoint, she's replaceable. She's replaceable tomorrow.
I mean,
the way that company's booking, she's replaceable.
She is loved within the wrestling business. She's very popular on the roster, very popular outside the roster. People love working with her. I think she's a little overrated. I always thought she was a little overrated. I never thought she was as good as other people thought she was, but she's a good wrestler, and she's not going to have any trouble finding work. She will get booked in every indie under the sun as soon as they are able to.
Oh, she's got calls already. She's probably already lined up if she wants to.
She's probably fully booked for the first month that she's available already. She will work every indie under the sun. I would presume that she'd have just about every, your Impacts and your ROHs and your NWAs are definitely going to knock on the door. AEW, I could see them because her reputation is so good, taking a look at her as well. I wouldn't worry about Ruby Riott at all. That might be the last time I get to say Ruby Riott.
I know. You want to do a few more on the way out? So
it has 2 T's. So I thought it was Riott. And that, people think I do it on purpose. When they added the second T, I thought her name was Ruby Riott. I don't know. And then it just stuck. What do you want from me? Ruby Riott. But that's it. It's back to Heidi Lovelace.
Yeah.
So,
sorry. Well, there you go. Ruby Riott.
More Ruby Riott. That'll be the last time.
Santana Garrett, probably the most irrelevant of the ones. I mean, recently signed.
She's a victim of is what happens is these people get called up and then not used. And then Vince is looking at his main roster sheet and he's like, well, I don't even use that because this happened to other people.
Yeah. She was on the main roster. That's the other funny thing about her is that she was on she had, for so long, had been around the wrestling business, especially around Florida or whatnot. I think she literally lived in where NXT is in Winter Park or whatever, and then gets signed, does a few little NXT shots, and then she's quote unquote moved to the main roster. And I don't even remember if she got used at all, even on a match, maybe 1 or 2, and then put in mothballs. And then, it's just an easy spreadsheet of, well, we don't even use her and we're paying her X. No, easy. Let's go. Get her out of here. So,
yeah. Who else did this happen to? Some others. It just happened to someone else who was on the main roster but never used, and then they were part of one of the last round of cuts. And someone made a good point. It might have been Meltzer. It's like if they were still in NXT, they'd still have a job because they would just be part of that giant blob of people in NXT, and they wouldn't end up getting cut when they make main roster cuts. So it's like the worst luck. You get called up, then you don't get used, and then you get cut because you're not being used.
Vanessa Bourne, I believe, that's what the Swink said on the chat. Is that who you were thinking of?
Maybe, yeah. Vanessa Bourne, and I think there was one other. But Santana Garrett, I mean, she'll get right back on that Florida indie.
Yeah, she'll be in NWA, and she'll probably be in Ring of Honor, and yeah, she'll get plenty of options.
She'll get work. Sure. I mean, I don't know if now look, she has a tremendous look. She's obviously, very attractive and fit and pretty and all those things, and she's a pretty decent wrestler, so she should have no trouble whatsoever. Getting real work. The NWAs and the Ring of Honors. And Impact. I mean, she's been in Impact. The relationship there. And again, I wouldn't be stunned at all. Look, AEW cannot hire everyone. They can't. But I think that there'll be interest. I wouldn't be surprised if there's interest in every single one of these people, though. That doesn't mean they're going to hire them all. They can't hire everyone that WWE releases, and they shouldn't. But, if I'm in that room, and I'm looking at these cuts, do I have a discussion about Santana Garrett? Of course I do.
Oh, yeah. She comes to Dark for sure. She definitely gets a call to Dark.
Yeah.
And if she's there and she's cool and she's, people get along with her and she can get something out of her, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, she'll get calls everywhere. She'll be fine.
Yeah.
Lana. What do you think of Lana? CJ Perry.
Now, she's an interesting one because personally, I have no use for Lana. I think she's one of the worst Major League wrestlers of all time. And I'm not trying to be, bombastic or anything when I say that. I just honestly believe that. She's one of the worst Major League pro wrestlers.
Had no instincts, no athletic ability, nothing. Yeah.
Terrible at the job. Just an awful pro wrestler who really has no business in a ring. I would never employ her as a wrestler if I was running a wrestling company. You want to tell me she has, there's a use for her outside the ring as a manager or some kind of non-wrestling role? I guess I'll buy into it, but I think she's vastly overrated in that department too. I think the ravishing Russian gimmick was great. Okay, make no mistake. When Rusev was the foreign menace brute who couldn't speak English, allegedly, she was a tremendous part of that act.
Absolutely,
and that was a great act. But I see people saying, "Oh, you bring her in and she manages Miro." Why? To me, that's a step backwards for Miro.
Like that. Yeah, then it's just
he doesn't need that anymore.
Right, he's past that. He's past that.
He's not Rusev, the guy who can't speak English anymore. He cuts his own promos. His promos are good. He's doing fine. To me, that's not only a step backwards, it's also a very TNA move to put the act back together that was in WWE as a prelim act with a guy who you're pushing in your company. I don't like that move at all, and I would stay way the fuck away from it. And I feel like it's inevitable because Miro's going to push for it. And I feel like they did have good chemistry before, so the temptation is there and it's easy. Me, I wouldn't do it. I'd put my foot down and say, that's not a good move for us. It's a very TNA move, and it's a backwards move for what we're doing with Miro. I wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I would agree.
Honestly,
I would agree.
I don't see a ton of use for her. I mean, she had a hot act there for a while, but to me, she's been one of the least interesting things in WWE since Rusev left. I mean,
yeah, and we're talking a lot of years too. I mean, you got to go back to like the peak of when that was really working and like really an interesting act is like, it's like 2014, 2015. You know what I mean? Like, that's a long time ago, and there's been so much crap done with her since then, with the breakup and the lesbian angle and the Bobby Lashley thing, and then the wrestling and the crying and the getting put through tables every single week type stuff. Like, I just don't. Yeah, I don't know that I see that much value either. So I'm with you. Like,
and here's the other thing: she's a millionaire, so she's not going to come cheap.
Yeah, so I mean, honestly, if Miro wants to bring her along, she can come backstage all the time, but I'm not putting her on my TV. I'm not paying her.
What's the return on investment?
Right.
You're going to have to pay her.
Little to nothing.
And what are you getting out of her? What does she bring to the table? And there's people who love her and are like, oh, you got to bring her. There's people in our mention saying, oh, well, she's above wrestling. She's going to go to Hollywood. And do what?
She's had 10 years to be in Hollywood. What has stopped her over the last 10 to 15 years from being in Hollywood? Yeah,
I mean, do what exactly?
Have they seen? Have they ever heard her talk or act?
Like she's the next Bridget Bardot. I mean, she's Lana.
Right.
What is she going to do? She's going to go on Instagram and be an influencer and make a shit ton of money.
Yeah, right. Should be a millionaire just doing that shit. Just endorsing
you think
random
she's going to star opposite Brad Pitt in some fucking movie? What do you think she's doing in Hollywood? She's an awful actress. Have you seen her in WWE? She's terrible. She's not any good. She doesn't show any, like, star qualities or anything. She's a pretty girl with a nice body who's going to sell fucking tummy tea on Instagram and get paid a shit ton of money for it. And good for her.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great job. A great gig to have is to take pictures of bikinis holding an energy drink and then a bunch of people buying that energy drink because you're holding it in a bikini. That's living, man. That's the life.
Yeah. I watch my wife put on bikinis and change and undress, and I'm like, you should quit the bank. We should try this. It'd be easier. You know, it's like, that's the life if you can fucking pull it. Like,
we had a long discussion, me and the nurse, because the nurse showed me there's a lot of, like, you know, nurse fetish, like, OnlyFans, and I'm like, man, I mean, like, especially during COVID, I'm like, it's a lot easier to just, you know, get in the back and wear your scrub. I mean, you have the scrubs anyway. It's
get like, risque with the scrubs,
right? Like, I mean, COVID sucks.
You lift the scrubs right to the boobs, but not over them.
I was like I don't know, it's not the worst idea, if we're being honest. Like, it's, you know, you're risking your life every single day while you walk out there, or you can just, like, you know, lift the scrub top, you know. I don't know, like,
but this idea that Lana is, like, too good for wrestling, then why has she been in
she's been doing it for 10 years. Yeah, why
has she been in wrestling for the last decade if she's too good for
what has stopped her over the last decade from becoming a mega Hollywood star?
Yeah, I mean, come on. I mean, reel it in with Lana, okay?
No one's been calling. That's probably why.
I mean, geez, she's not the next Pam Anderson. Trust me. She is what she is, and you know, there's money to be made on the internet and fucking Instagram and doing all that shit, and she will do that, okay? But you know, this idea she's gonna just jaunt off to Hollywood now and start making movies opposite Tom Hardy. I mean, it's not gonna happen, okay? It's fucking fantasy land. I just don't want to see her in wrestling anymore because I really don't think she brings all that much to the table. I don't find her interesting.
Yeah, for her outlook, I have no idea. It's probably AEW or bust, and I really hope that they put the foot down.
I think it's inevitable. Unfortunately, I think it's inevitable. And maybe she'll come in and they'll put her with Miro and it'll be fucking magic and we'll be proved wrong. But I mean, again, what's the return on investment with that? I don't think Miro needs it. And then the temptation is going to be to put her in the ring, and she does not belong in the ring. She is Leva Bates level fucking horrendous in the ring, like to the point where I think it's like
I think Leva's better, probably.
It's close. It's embarrassing.
Yeah, like Veda
She's
Scott
the kind of
works
wrestler where you
circles
put her on
around her
TV.
too.
I think it's an embarrassment to put her on your TV. That's how bad I think she is. So that I would never do.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Who knows? Unfortunately, I think it's inevitable. And here's the other thing. I want to bring up this point while we're talking about Lana, because what we also need to do when we talk about these things is get away from the idea that this is like should be treated like a fucking funeral.
Oh my God! Please,
can we stop this,
yes.
please?
Let's go.
Okay. First of all, a bunch of these people are like fucking millionaires.
Yeah,
like
Lana will probably
Lana,
make more money. She now has more time to sell more things on Instagram. She's probably okay
without giving WWE a cut.
Right, she can go on Twitch. Well, Twitch had like you can't be as sexy on Twitch anymore. But I think she'll do okay. She'll be fine. But
what is this thing where people get cut from WWE and people get released in wrestling, and everyone wants to treat it like it's like you have to talk in your solemn voice and you have to be careful what you say.
Joe, you can't even discuss it. Oh, imagine, Joe, finding out that you lost your dream job and then going on Twitter and people are discussing it.
Yeah, well, I'm not a fucking professional actor.
Right. If I was making $1 million,
I would
probably expect that. Yeah.
And it isn't even about the money. This is the life they chose. They're pro athletes. And look, I'm not saying you dance on their graves. I'm not saying you celebrate when people get cut. Please understand the distinction we're making here. Okay? That's a different thing altogether. I'm not saying any of those things. What I'm saying is this idea that it's not appropriate to discuss it. It's not appropriate to speculate on who could be next. It's not appropriate to speculate on where they might go or whether they might even get another job again is utter nonsense. It's utter fucking nonsense. Okay? In any other sport, these things are discussed daily. Athletes are cut. People lose their jobs. NFL cut day, hundreds of athletes lose their jobs, and 90% of them never work again in professional football. And it's discussed and it's talked about. Sports fans openly hope that certain people get cut. Oh, this fucking cornerback stinks. I hope they cut him. But in wrestling, it's this thing where we have to act like it's a funeral. And it's inappropriate to even broach the subject. And you have to tap dance around it like we're walking on eggshells. These are adults who chose to be professional athletes, who chose to be entertainers. And unfortunately, part of that is when they lose their job, and everyone will eventually, it's news. And they just have to deal with it. I don't know why fans have to take up for these people in this way.
Yeah, it's so bizarre. It's so much. It's an I'm friends with these people because I watch them on TV or I follow them on Twitter type stuff or whatever. It's just, yeah, it's wild. And also, these people made way more money than you'll ever make in your entire life in the last year. Pretty much every single one of these people.
Some of these, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Lana has made more money in the last 2 years than you will ever make in your entire life. Person on Twitter that's telling us we can't talk about Lana. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and the reality isn't even about the money. I mean, this isn't in any other entertainment field. This isn't a taboo topic. Why is it a taboo topic in wrestling?
Right, it's a life. Yeah. It's and a bunch of people saying, well, it's very different than being in sports. Like, no, it's not. It's not. There's the guy on basketball that gets cut at the end of the bench has two options. He can go to Europe, which is essentially go into the Indies or whatever, or he can give it up. And half of them give it up and half of them go to Europe. Like you said, thousands of guys on cut day are cut in the NFL. And they all have, there's no other option for them in pro football.
They never play pro football
right.
again.
They're done. They go back to, and they go, all right, well, I guess I'm working at a car dealership now. Like, that's it. It's over.
And nobody tells the beat writer that they can't report who's being cut. It's ridiculous. It's utterly ridiculous to suggest that. It's news. Okay, again, this isn't about dancing on graves or being happy that someone. That's not what I'm saying. Or mocking someone for being cut. That's not what I'm saying. I hope people understand what we're trying to say here. But it's like there's this weird thing in wrestling where people get touchy about these cuts. Like, no, this is news, and these are pro athletes. And unless
Sean Ross Sapp has all right in the world to fucking report these cuts.
This.
Yeah, like it's ridiculous. Yeah. And how dare you report this? It's like, who cares? Like, come on.
Unless you're Derek Jeter or Kobe Bryant or 99.9% of professional athletes someday are going to be told your services aren't needed anymore and we're cutting you. It's just the way it is. It happens to Hall of Famers. It happens to everyone. It's the way it goes. Entertainment as well. People get dropped off of television shows. Their character isn't working. They write them off. They kill them off. And it gets reported. You think Variety doesn't report that stuff?
Right. They're not going to report if a pilot doesn't get picked up and everyone's out of their job. Like, no, they don't.
Yeah.
It's
I'm not saying you celebrate it, but it's news. And it's fair game to talk about. And it just drives me nuts. And I'm glad it sucks that you had to single one person out on Twitter today, but you found one dope and you quote tweeted him and you made the point, and I was proud of you because it needed to be said because this guy's tweeting, oh, imagine if people were talking about you. Yeah, well, Rich works in a fucking cubicle. That's different. These are people on TV. They're entertainers. They're celebrities. It's news. Okay, if they don't want their jobs discussed, they can go work with Rich.
They can work in my office. And in fact, all these people that got released, they have great bodies. If they want to work at my job, they can absolutely do that. So
yes, this is part of the deal. And trust me, they understand that. Yeah, these people get abused on Twitter more than you could ever imagine. Believe me, they understand how this works. Okay, God, that is something that I almost forgot to bring up, but I guess Lana was a good opportunity to do so because she's someone who, believe me, she's not going to be cutting back on the grocery bill because she lost her job. They're going to be fine.
There's this destitute nature. It's like, I mean, they can just go get normal jobs too. Like, that's this, oh, well, there's nowhere else to work. Yeah, well, tell that to fucking football players. Those guys are done. That's it. They're never playing pro football again, and they all have to now decide. And it sucks. And it's the risk you take. And that's the other thing too. Like, I have friends, I have people, colleagues, and all that sort of stuff that played minor league baseball, and that is a constant thing that comes up in minor league baseball. Is these guys are getting paid, very, very low amounts of money, and they get cut, and it's like, all right, well, you can, go to the independents or keep trying to do it, or you can look yourself in the mirror and go, okay, this is done. Like, I can't keep doing this. I need to go and just get a normal job. And like, it sucks. Like, it's a terrible thing to look at, but like, yeah, again, it's not like you can't say that because some minor league player got released. Like, a lot of times those guys, it's like a moment of like, all right, well, that's, I needed to look myself in the mirror and say it's over. Like, it's fine. Like, and these are wrestlers. Like, there's plenty of places for all these people to go. And if there's not, then they get a job. Like any normal fucking idiot out there that gets a normal job, they can go work in my cubicle. Like, it's wild, but there it is.
It's a maddening thing that happens.
Don't talk about that. You can't even imagine discussing this. Well, I'm imagining it because I'm discussing it.
You know what it is? I think it's one of these things where, like, if sports fans get it, and I think people who aren't sports fans kind of don't, and I kind of understand, but like in sports, fans root for people to get cut. Like, could you imagine, like, in wrestling, if people were out there like, man, I hope they cut so and so. You'd get killed if you express something. But sports fans do that all the time. Like, I've had it with this fucking relief pitcher. When are they going to cut this asshole? Like, that's people call up sports radio.
The first thing they do is, let's cut this guy.
When are we going to cut this running back? He fucking stinks. Like, they openly root for people to lose their jobs in sports. So it's just, I think sports fans just come from a different culture where we talk about this all the time with injuries. We almost expect wrestlers to get injured, right? So it's like not a thing to us. It's not like we don't care. Of course, there's compassion and we don't want people to get hurt, but we understand it's part of the deal because we see athletes get hurt every day. And it's the same thing. I think we see athletes get cut and released and sent off to pasture every single day. So it's like when wrestlers get cut, I think sports fans just see it from a different perspective. Mm-hmm. Because it's just it's just part of, to me, I just see it. To me, WWE is a team. And sometimes, some people aren't useful to the team anymore. That's all.
Yeah. And I also don't think Kristaps Porzingis is my friend. So I don't really give a shit if he gets traded or whatever. Whereas,
yeah, I mean, I'm not rooting for people to get cut necessarily, but it may sound cold, but it's a shoulder shrug when they do. I mean, it's just part of what it is. It's fucking.
And they move on to the next thing in life. Yeah. I mean, life fucking sucks. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, life
and
sucks.
And let me tell you something, Matt. This batch of cuts, there's not a single one of them that won't be working in 90 days.
And that's,
assuming they want to.
Right.
If they want to be in wrestling in 90 days, on the 91st day, all 6 of these people will be.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of whether they want to or not.
Yes, they're not going to be in the bread line, I don't think, anytime soon. So
yeah.
All right, move on to last 2 here. Let's talk about Big Match Buddy. All I have to say about Big Match Buddy, Joe, is 4 business inquiries, secret no more .inc at outlook.com, 89 days.
This dude rules.
Let's fucking go, Big Match Buddy. I cannot wait. Wait.
Little DJW energy here?
Absolutely, Dumb Jock Wrestling. I told you to put him on the list because I forget what he did. Oh no, he sent a tweet and it was like terrible capitalization. The punctuation was awful. Like there was tons of errors, and I'm like, ooh, okay, we got something brewing here. And then 6 hours ago, he blessed us with this tweet: 4 business inquiries, capital S secret, capital N no, capital M more .inc. He put a dot in the beginning of an email address.
Yes.
Secret no more .inc at outlook.com. How do you make an outlook.com?
My man's got an Outlook email account with a period in the address.
I mean, this is Dumb Jock Wrestler 101
with a countdown clock for when he's available.
89 days, and that shit's going to get updated every single day. I am all in. This is the stuff that we say when you want to figure out who's gonna pick up that phone, who's figuring their shit out, who's getting their bookings. You don't think Big Match Buddy has already got matches ready to go? You don't think he's got the 90-day and the calendar and shit ready to go? Keep an eye on Big Match Buddy, man. Do not forget about him over these next 90 days. I can't wait.
No, now look, from just a wrestling fan perspective, he's the one I'm most excited about. Because first of all, he's Big Match Buddy. I mean, you remember the 205 Live days when people were still paying attention to that show. He was having great matches every single week. Okay, he's a dumb jock wrestler. He's a spot fest style of wrestler. He's a Kenny Omega clone. Clearly watches his Omega tapes. The guy's just a lot of fun. He would be a boon to the American Indies. And don't forget this. He came from Melbourne. He could go back to Australia if he wants.
That'd be such a huge get too.
And they could use an injection, that MCW, because they've lost a lot of talent. Danny Psycho retired. Avery's on a break. They're losing the 3 ROH wrestlers, Slex, Kellyanne, and Adam Brooks, presumably are going to go back to ROH at some point when the COVID situation clears a bit more, and it's getting a lot better in America, so that should probably be soon. They've had some other wrestlers for various reasons that, are either leaving the company or taking a break. And he could step into MCW for a little while before he finds a permanent home where he came from. I mean, that was the indie promotion that was basically his home before he signed. And, he could wrestle Adam Brooks again. He can wrestle Royce Chambers, who's almost like a mini Buddy Murphy. Like Royce Chambers is like a Buddy Murphy clone. Like they're very similar wrestlers.
Just saying that matchup. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Joe. I'm getting a little
getting
a little excited, getting a little the heart's going. It's just imagining
nipples getting hard.
The other part's getting hard. I'm not gonna lie. Royce Chambers versus Buddy Murphy, man. That sounds fucking right up my alley, or whatever. Or Matt Silva, or whatever it's gonna be. So.
Matt Silva, yeah. I wrote in my column, of all the possible matchups I could think of with the cut talent, that's my number one. Buddy Murphy versus Royce Chambers in MCW in Melbourne. That would be tremendous. That'd be my number one match that I can make. If I can make one match with a magic wand, that's the one I would make out of the people cut. So he could do that. And then he's good enough to work in any promotion in the world. He could go to New Japan. He can go to AEW. He can go to Ring of Honor. And he's got the Ring of Honor connection through Adam Brooks because allegedly these guys are tight. So I could see him landing literally anywhere because he can hang anywhere. And I could see any of these places being interested in him. Do I think he's going to be a main eventer drawing big money? No. Do I think that he can be a valuable part of anybody's card and have entertaining matches? Fuck yeah. I can't wait to see where this guy ends up. I'm most excited about him. Big match buddy.
I can't wait. I'm on his Wikipedia right now. You want to, we were talking about Dumb Jock Wrestler energy here. Yeah. I don't know if he added this part to his Wikipedia or who did, or they grabbed it from a different source or whatever. But regardless, if you go to the personal life tab on what Buddy Murphy or Matt Silva or whatever, it talks about his engagement to Alexa Bliss or whatever. But the important part here is, quote, he has a background that includes bungee jumping, rock climbing, and Joe, quote, swimming with great whales.
Oh, this guy fucking.
What a man. What?
Yeah. I mean,
who comes that as a hobby? Hey, what are your hobbies? I like rock climbing. Okay. I like bungee jumping. Yeah. And swimming with great whales. Like, oh, okay. What? I like bike riding and, gardening and swimming with great whales. Yeah. Oh, my God.
I could totally see him being a PWG guy. They'll be all over him.
Yeah, for sure.
Did Davey Richards burn his bridge with PWG?
Probably, but I'm sure it's all right. Whatever.
I can't remember anymore.
There should be a Twitter account. Did Davey Richards burn his bridge with? And then,
right?
Yes, Joe. The answer is yes for everywhere, but I'm sure it's fine.
Could you imagine Davey Richards versus Buddy Murphy?
I can.
How great would that be?
I love it. Yeah.
The Indies are back, baby.
They're back, man. Big match, Buddy. I'm looking at the so he tweeted out that, for business inquiries or whatever, and there's a bunch of promoters already emailing him. It says, hey, we sent you an email, sent you an email. So
listen, you are on the AAW payroll. Talk to Dr. Keith. Talk to who else is up there?
Danny Daniels up there.
Talk to Daniels, Voles, all these people you triple date with. Talk to your AAW people and get them the book. Oh, Davey Richards versus Matt Silva in Chicago.
If you're guessing, your question, Joe, did Davey burn his bridges to AEW? Yes. Does that matter?
Oh, okay.
No. But no, you know what? No, it's all good.
You think they'll bring him in?
Yeah, I think you got to bring Davey in again. You got, he'll talk the talk. Hey, I'm a changed man. Yeah, that was the old me. This is the new me. And he'll burn all these bridges again. But who cares?
How hard would you pop if you're sitting there in that fucking Bourbon Street? Oh, and fucking Davey comes out.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Man. I might drive to Chicago for that.
I know. Cozina, I'll know because Cozina's on the undercard. I'm like, wait a minute. Uh-oh.
I got to get Biss on the phone. Bring Davey down here.
Yeah, absolutely. Get him in Texas, man. Yeah. Honestly, I've never been more tempted for us to do our own promotion. I mean, I'm never going to do that, but now would be a great time. You know what I mean? Like, There's a lot of guys out there, mostly so we can book Davian for his big match buddy. But
I'd rather everyone else.
Yeah, no, I'd rather everybody else just do it.
Promote wrestling and not me, but
Mhm.
I'll gladly go to the shows. Man, yeah, but Big Match Buddy's got me hyped.
Yeah,
Man,
July.
he's got the right
He's
mindset,
working
too.
Warrior in July. Thanks for the swing for mentioning that. Yeah, if you want to
Davey
come,
Richards, right?
Yeah, if you want to come sleep on my couch, Warrior Wrestling in July.
Davey, right? Yeah.
I mean, I would get a hotel instead of sleeping on my couch, but
Picked in the MLW draft, Davey Richards.
you have number 1 overall pick, right?
Did you see today's draft picks?
Yeah, I saw Lee Moriarty was one of them.
Yes.
I didn't see anybody else, but Mil Mortis was one of them, wasn't he?
Aramis.
Oh, okay.
Savio Vega, who was already there,
Excuse
somehow
me.
got picked.
Yeah, okay. That's not a good value pick. Who picked him so high in the draft?
He's already there. Like, why would you pick him?
Right.
Like, he's part of. Like, he would. Okay, he didn't wrestle on the last set of tapings, but he was involved in the storylines with the whole Richard Holiday Caribbean title thing.
Right.
Do you say Caribbean or Caribbean?
I think I switch all the time.
You switch?
I don't know that I've ever actually figured out which one it is.
I think I say Caribbean.
I think I'm just thinking, I say Caribbean. Yeah, Caribbean. I'm just trying to do it as quick as possible. I would say Caribbean. Yeah.
Billy Ocean says Caribbean. Caribbean Queen. Now we're dead. Caribbean Queen, Billy Ocean.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah, see? But I say Caribbean. Do you think we're going to get dinged by Billy Ocean for that?
Oh, maybe. Yeah, you got to chill with your acapellas, man. I mean, you sounded exactly like Billy Ocean there, and that's going to be unfortunate.
That was a dead-on impression of Billy Ocean.
Right. You kind of look like Billy Ocean, too. So.
I look like Billy Ocean.
No, you don't.
I couldn't look less like Billy Ocean. Billy Ocean is a black man who's like 70 years old.
Yeah.
I am a pasty white guy who is not 70 years old. How do I look anything like Billy Ocean? Where'd you even come up with that? How old is Billy Ocean? I got to look this up.
I don't know. Yeah, I'd say about 72 would be my guess for Billy Ocean.
72? Let's see. Yes, let's see. Might be a little older than that, actually.
Yeah, maybe.
He's been around, He's 71. Nice job.
Wow,
everyone.
nice. There you go.
Rich, will you please Google Billy Ocean? I look nothing like Billy
Let's
Ocean.
see. Let me find
It's
out.
like not even fucking close. Like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, he looks okay. Yeah. Yeah, you do not look like this man. Nor did you look like him in the 80s either. Okay. All right. Billy Ocean does not look like how I thought Billy Ocean would look like now.
Okay, like, even if I were a black guy, I wouldn't look like
No. Nobody looks like
And,
Billy
like-
Ocean. Yeah,
and,
Billy
like, if
Ocean looks like
Billy
Billy
Ocean-
Ocean. Yeah.
If Billy Ocean was a white guy, he wouldn't look like me. Like, it's not even close. He kind of looks like Morgan Freeman now.
Yeah, like a
Morgan
Rasta
Freeman.
Morgan Freeman. If Morgan Freeman just really, really enjoyed marijuana, that's kind of what Billy Ocean looks like now. So
Yeah.
this is
And
not
they-
what I thought Billy Ocean would look like in 2021. But hey, it looks
Okay,
good.
admit it. You thought he was a white guy.
No, I didn't know Billy. No, I know who Billy Ocean is. Get out of here.
That's why you said that I look like Billy Ocean.
Get
'cause I
out of
think
here. You don't think I know who Billy Ocean is? Are you out of your
Maybe you
mind?
thought I'm thinking
No.
that maybe you thought Billy Ocean was a
No,
white guy.
I know who Billy. Come on. Are you kidding me?
I don't
You know
you're
the
a big
music
Billy
I
Ocean
listen to.
fan.
Come on. You know I know who fucking Billy Ocean is. Get out of here.
You listen to 80s pop? I don't know what you're
I
saying.
listen to a ton of funk and soul and all that shit. Yeah. Fucking get out of
Okay,
here.
all right. I didn't know Billy
R&B
Ocean
and
was in your
soul.
fucking
Yeah, of
Pandora. What
course
do you want
he
from
is.
me?
Yeah, get out
You
of
know?
here.
I know Billy Ocean rocking on your playlist. How am I supposed to
Absolutely.
know these
All the
things?
time.
Well, we learn things every day. Why would I think that you're a Billy Ocean fan? Like, if that would be like saying, Rich, how did you didn't know I was a big Steve Winwood fan? Like, why would anyone?
I don't
think
even know
that?
who Steve Winwood is, so.
That's a comparable 80s pop guy. Why would I know you're a Billy Ocean fan?
Who the hell's Steve Winwood?
You don't know Steve Winwood?
I don't know.
Steve Winwood, his big hit is didn't he sing Higher Love? Or was
You're
that-
asking me? I don't know who he is, so.
All right, now I gotta do Steve Winwood hits.
Yeah, you gotta, I don't know, yeah.
Higher Love, yeah. Hold on, I'll play it for you. Higher Love.
No, I don't want Shaka Khan's in that song. I know that song.
Bring me a higher love. Yeah, you know.
Yeah, of course.
That's
Okay.
Steve Winwood.
Yeah, all right. I know it from Shaka Khan, but yeah, I don't know who the dork that was with her was. Okay, there you go.
Well, it's his song. She's the featured player.
Well, yeah, but she's better than he is, so.
Well,
That's a good song.
Okay.
That's actually a good jam. Has he got other good stuff or what?
Back in the High Life Again.
I'll have to listen. I'll listen tomorrow.
I'm sure you know that
because Higher Love's a good song.
Steve,
That's a good ass
listen,
song. Yeah.
Listen, you're ripping Steve Winwood. I bet you like him.
I think I do. Yeah, Higher Love's a great song.
You're gonna see all these songs and you're gonna be like, oh wait, I like Steve Winwood.
Yeah, I might actually like Steve Winwood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, because he's got a lot of soul. I'm looking at these songs. Yeah, I know a lot of these songs. Yeah, I guess I never knew it was him. So.
Well, you learned something.
There you go. Thank you. Yeah. Now I know who I'm listening to do tomorrow. Steve Winwood. Yeah.
Yeah.
And now we're gonna get 3 different copyright dings. So.
Oh yeah, I sang Steve Winwood too.
Steve Winwood. We're gonna get Billy Ocean.
What about Peebo Bryson? You like a little Peebo? Does all
I don't know who
songs?
that is. I don't know if I know who that is either.
Oh, listen, I bet you.
I don't think I know the names of these people. It's in the 80s when there were so many songs.
Rich, the over under on Peebo Bryson songs that you know, I would put it at 10. That's how confident I am that you know Peebo Bryson.
All right,
A Whole New World from the Aladdin soundtrack.
Oh yeah.
He does all those Disney songs.
See, I'm not a Disney guy though.
Yeah, but you know the songs.
I do.
That's all that matters. Yeah. Like you don't have to like the movies. Like I don't expect you to be sitting there watching Princess and the Toad, but you know the songs.
Yeah.
From
Okay.
the
all right.
Movies. You know what I mean?
What did he do before that?
Oh, he's Peebo Bryson.
Oh, okay. Right.
He's Peebo. He's cool as fuck. He might be dead. No, he's not. He's 70. He's still kicking, Peebo. Basically, if it's a Disney song and it's a male voice, it's
probably
Peebo
him.
Bryson.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. That's good work if you can get it, though.
Absolutely, yeah. Elton John did that for a long. I remember then throughout the '90s, he was getting into that real big. He's like, "Yeah, I'll write a song for the fucking movie." Yeah, it's easy money, man.
Yeah. Well, all right. Excuse me, big Billy Ocean.
I am a big Billy Ocean guy, and apparently a big Steve Winwood guy now too. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right, let's. So that's Buddy. That's Big Match Buddy, who fucking rules and rocks and is going to be incredible. Now, last but not least. Aleister Black, a.k.a. Tommy End, who 24 hours ago, I would have said, I'm excited to see what the next step is for Tommy End, Aleister Black. But unfortunately, over the last 24 hours, Joe, what is this man doing?
Well, what he's doing, no one has lost more cool points with me in the last 24 hours than this guy. What a fucking nerd.
This is the biggest dork. I thought this guy was cool as fuck, and in 24 hours, I now think he's the biggest fucking dork I've ever heard. So this is from WrestleZone, who transcribed this interview here. This is from his Twitch stream, which, by the way, his wife's Twitch stream, which, that's weird, because his wife wasn't able to have this Twitch stream while she was employed with the company, and then they released her because of her objections to having this. But anyway, he got on his wife's Twitch stream. To wife, right? It's wife, right? Yeah, it's wife. Anyway, quote, I think being on the main roster in all my conversations I've ever had with Vince, he was always very positive. I have a good relationship with Vince. I always told him how I felt. He always respected that about me. And he always praised me on my creativity and my abilities to have manners and respect, but still be honest with him about how I felt. You never truly knew why things don't end the way they do, but all I can tell you is that from my point of view, and the word I was given, was that Vince was always pretty high on me. I did well on television. It's just that we could never really nail down what it is we wanted Aleister to be on the main roster versus what he was in NXT. And where that problem lied, I don't know. I can tell you where it lied. Vince McMahon.
I think I know where it lied. He wasn't high on you.
Right.
He didn't think anything of you.
He thought your ideas were stupid.
The best is he rattled off all those lists of awful ideas.
Yeah, you want to go with those? I have those as well. I was going to read a few
of these awful ideas.
I was going to read a few more of these quotes, but I was going to go through the let's go to these ideas, because this is where he really gets. So this is today. He came back on Twitch again, his wife's Twitch stream, which she wasn't able to have while she was employed by the company, but then raised a stink about it and then got fired for it. But yeah, that's fine. Quote, these are the recap here. Thank you to @BlackXMass_fade2black for transcribing this, with the A's being replaced by X's, in case you're wondering, for fade to black.
Sure, it's a great account.
I'm gonna read the bio here. Number one @WWE Aleister stan in the world.
Okay.
Not the real Aleister Black.
Oh, I thought it.
Owner of Elite X eFed, so they're still eFedding. And then follow my sports blog. I'm gonna follow their sports blog later.
We're probably burying a 13-year-old.
Probably, yeah. I feel pretty bad doing that, but anyway. Okay. Thank you to this 13-year-old for recapping the Aleister Black stream here. So, quote: there was supposed to be an entrance mask with the Alistair, quote, pirate character. Okay.
Sounds awful.
Yeah. Vince and creative loved the vignettes that Alistair made on his own, which showed the new character.
Hold that thought. Loved it.
Loved it. Didn't air it,
Fine.
but loved it.
Didn't air it and then fired me, but Vince loved it. Yeah.
Quote, this new character was supposed to be alone. After helping the Mysterios and Kevin Owens, he realized they had helped everybody, but they didn't help him.
Oh, I'm so bored already. Go ahead.
The world was cruel, so he became cruel.
God.
Parentheses, a.k.a. a heel.
This fucking nerd. Oh, my God.
After feuding with Kevin Owens, he was supposed to feud with the Mysterios. Holding Ray's kids hostage was a plan. After that, he would go after Buddy again. After Buddy, he wanted Seth because he made the disciple. After Seth, he wanted Bray because Bray created the Messiah. After Bray, he wanted to feud with Vince. He had a hit list and blamed everybody for what happened to him.
What WWE storyline ever goes this deep?
Did he? Vince. Hey Vince, when I'm done fighting with Buddy Murphy, how about I take you out? All right, pal, sounds good. Idiot.
75-year-old Vince.
After I'm done capturing Dominic and Aaliyah, I'm gonna feud with you.
He's 75. He can't fucking bump.
Fucking dork. Jesus Christ.
He you just know that he pitched this convoluted storyline where Aleister Black, who Vince probably couldn't pick out of a line, he's probably like, what's Phil Brooks doing here? What's he doing in the building?
Punk looks terrible.
Is Punk doing meth? What's going on here? He probably can't pick this guy out of a lineup.
Him and Bruce Pritchard are sitting in the room, and Aleister Black comes in. Hey, can I have a moment, guys? Oh, yeah, sure, pal. Sit down.
So let me get this straight. You're gonna feud with Kevin, and then you're gonna
capture
go with Buddy, kidnap Aaliyah, and then you're gonna feud with me. It just sounds great. I love the creativity. And then as soon as the guy leaves, they laugh at him. There's no chance any of this nonsense was considered for a single second.
Yeah, this is where they go.
He's gonna feud with Vince
to take out every single person that wronged him, aka a heel.
Are we sure that Twitter account isn't Aleister Black and this isn't his eFed that he's booking?
The best part about all that is you could just imagine, Vince is at the desk, sitting there with his glasses on, sipping his coffee as that, and he goes, and they go, oh, those are all good ideas, Aleister, thank you. And then Bruce Pritchard gets up from his chair, puts his hand, on Black's shoulder, and walks him out of the room, and then closes the door behind him.
Yeah.
And Vince goes, who the hell was that? And then they just laugh. They just yuck it up, thinking this dork just came into our office.
Excellent question, Phil. Excellent question, Phil.
He wants to use the No Man's Land song on the Indies. That's the second song that he had.
Who would know or care?
I don't know what No Man's Land is.
Who knows? Like, he expects us to know what that is?
I don't know. Vince loves those that are creative, just not me, because he fucking fired me. So.
No, but he yeah. So this is the second. Okay,
Vince
please note.
Fucking loves this guy.
This is the second time that he said Vince loves him or loves his ideas. Yet, none of these ideas made it to TV.
The second Heyman lost power, he went out of TV, never appeared for 14 months, appeared briefly, then disappeared again, then appeared, and then got fired.
Yes. Kicked Kevin Owens in the head, then got fired. They loved him so much that they started an angle with him and fired him in the middle of it. And did none of his ideas. Which, by the way, there's like 3 more pages of these things.
Yeah.
Which we don't have time to do.
Yeah, I'm not going to do all of them. But he and Zelina or Thea or whatever created a new character for her to use in the future, even though, they fired her because she raises stink about third-party rights and stuff. So anyway, but hey, they brought her back briefly and then they fired him. So anyway.
Do you think there's any chance on earth that Vince liked any of these ideas?
No, 0. 0.
They're atrocious. He's like a one-man vigilante cutting through the roster. When does WWE even have the attention span for storylines that detailed and that long. And at the end of it, he's going to beat up Vince, who's 75 years old and doesn't appear on camera anymore. This was his great creative idea.
Yeah, I like the. He also mentioned as well that he was going to get involved with the Undertaker. I just want to read these last ones, these last few bullet points here, because there's a bunch. He's going to make a documentary about his return to the ring and shit. Nobody cares. Anyway, he wanted to create a fucked up Babadook. The book was a child's book with sad stories. There was supposed to be actual actors playing these characters, but with COVID, they went with animations.
You just read like 4 sentences, and I don't know what any of that means. I don't know what a single word of any of that means.
Those glasses he wore are his actual glasses. Xavier Wood said that he looked like Joseph Seed, which looks like the guy. I don't know.
What is he talking about?
The mask had antlers that grew because the cult he was from worshipped nature and death.
He was on TV for 8 seconds since he left NXT. What is he even saying?
One thing that was pitched by Aleister Black, that part I added in, but one thing that was pitched was Aleister Black would help The Undertaker and attack the Good Brothers.
What?
He thinks Mark Calloway can.
He thinks he's going to work with The Undertaker? Because The Undertaker pulled him aside one day and said, I like the way you sold. Isn't that on air too?
Yeah, he says, he's grateful for The Undertaker and the talks he had with him, calls Dominic Mysterio fantastic.
Yeah, okay. The most ridiculous thing in all of this is that he calls Dominic Mysterio fantastic. I am most offended by that. What the fuck? No one can honestly think Dominic is fantastic. You know what? I'm done burying the guy. You know why? He's clearly just kissing all the right ass. He's kissing Vince's ass.
Yeah, he shows up.
He's kissing The Undertaker's ass. Yeah. He's kissing Mysterio's ass. This is just a guy who wants back in. It has to be. He can't be serious about any of this. He's talking about glasses and hats. No one knows what the fuck he's talking about. He wants to feud with Vince McMahon after he beats everybody else on the roster. How delusional is this guy?
Oh my god!
He wants to tag team with The Undertaker
against the Good Brother.
This guy thinks,
that was pitched, Joe.
Yeah,
who was pitched by? He doesn't say, but it was pitched by somebody.
He wants to wrestle Vince McMahon and tag team with The Undertaker. Okay, who doesn't?
Yeah,
real unique ideas there. You don't think? What did he think? Did he really think this was going to get through? And they were going to? Excellent idea, Phil. We'll move forward with that. Yeah, I'm gonna call Mark down there in Austin, and I think he'd be very interested in wrestling a tag team match against the Good Brothers at Fastlane. It's a great idea, Phil. We'll get right on that. I mean, who's he fooling with this?
Oh my god! Well, these are the first 2 days since he's been released,
ridiculous.
So this should probably continue as well. So, we'll see where it goes, but.
When do we get Phil back?
Not a great start. Not a great start for one Tommy End. So, who is a fun wrestler, and I enjoy watching wrestling, but I need some time away from these quotes. So hopefully that we can.
Did anyone's stock drop faster than this guy's in the last 24 hours?
And the best part too, and this is something you alluded to at the beginning, is then people, replying to these tweets. Oh, it really sounds like Vince loved this guy. Like, he fucking fired him. Like, he loved him so much. He said, "Hey, can we fire this guy?" And he went, "Yeah, sure." Or he literally said, "Yeah, fire that guy. Who gives a shit?" He doesn't care.
Fucking Christ.
He really loved this guy. It must have been John Laurinaitis that fired him. No, I'm sure. Yeah. Notoriously hands off, caught by surprise on things that happens at his own company. Vince McMahon has no idea that Aleister Black has been taken away from him. The great Aleister Black has been taken away from him. So,
yeah, Vince. Yeah, it's
damn it, Johnny, what'd you do? Like, I have so many plans for him. I told Mark he was gonna, Undertaker's training right now to get ready for their tag team matches. So
it's like, okay, you get fired. You don't want to think that, that you were shitty at your job or your employer didn't value you. I understand it, right? Maybe I don't doubt at all that he had these conversations with Vince. I don't doubt at all that Vince said, "Those are great ideas, Tommy. Okay? I don't doubt that. I just doubt that Vince meant it because I'm not an idiot. Because if he thought the ideas were good and he was a big fan of yours, those ideas would be on TV and you'd be employed today. He didn't like your dopey ideas. And he didn't value you. I mean, that's just the harsh reality. You know? But I understand why sometimes when these guys get released, they don't want to accept that. Because who wants to accept that, you know, it sucks when you lose your job. So you don't want to accept that somebody thought you weren't good enough to do that.
Especially when you're passionate about the stuff, which clearly he is. I mean, I'm making fun of the passion. Like, he was clearly a guy that thought about his character, was passionate about his character.
Listen, that's passionate.
Yeah.
That
Yeah. And it sucks to, like, think that, hey, I have all these ideas and they tell me they're good ideas and then they don't use any of them and then they fire me. Like, it sucks. That's a terrible thing to swallow. But you kind of have to maybe think that, geez, I thought this guy liked me, but maybe he did. Like, you had to be real. You got to be a realist here.
At that point, it has to sink in at some point that, okay, they didn't like my ideas because they didn't use any of them. You know, I mean, and you don't want to accept, I guess, that that's the guy that made the final call because you thought that you had this relationship with him that you never had. You know, the guy's been doing this for 40 years. He knows how to massage these egos and he knows what to say to people to try to keep the locker room happy and whatnot. And I guess it's a hard pill to swallow for these guys where they just, you know, they can't accept that they got worked by the guy. That's just really what it comes down to. You got worked. He strung you along. He told you these ideas were great. They didn't use any of them and he fired you. So he didn't like your ideas. Yeah, you know, I can understand why that's a hard pill to swallow. I don't know. At my job, if my employees have great ideas, I don't then not use them and then fire the person. You know what I mean? Like, if I think the ideas are good,
it seems basic, but yeah, we had to argue with a lot of people today that
I do the opposite.
Right? Yeah, technically, yeah. Usually, you say that is a good idea. You implement that idea, and then that person, you know, either continues to be employed or moves up in the company as opposed to gets fired. So
yeah. And if I'm in a meeting with my people and one of them has a dopey idea, I might say to them, "Oh, you know, Stacy, that's a good idea, but," you know what I mean? And then I go with Bill's idea because Stacy's idea stunk. And I think Stacy's smart enough to understand that I just don't want to embarrass her in front of the group. And when she goes home and bitches to her husband about me, she's probably going to say, he didn't like my fucking idea. This guy bought it, and he thought that the boss really liked his ideas. You know? Where Stacy's smart enough to understand, okay, he didn't go with my plan. He must not have really liked it. This guy's sitting home thinking, any day now, I'm going to be feuding with Vince.
Yeah. Kidnap Aaliyah and then
with the
feud
Undertaker.
with Vince. Yeah.
Yeah. Wearing antlers and fucking glasses. What is he talking about? He wants to be another Spooky Man, is what he wants to be. They already had a Spooky Man. They've got Bray. Didn't he want to go after Bray because Bray was the one who turned Seth heel and Seth injured him?
He's mad that the Fiend made Seth the Messiah, so he'd go one by one. This has got to be years.
Dude,
this has got to be years.
Nobody
in the making.
fucking cares. Vince doesn't even remember any of that.
No. Vince doesn't remember what he did 2 weeks ago, let alone 2 years ago, as he's building this long arcs feud. That's all right. Well, here's the hierarchy of why Seth turned evil, and it's like, what are you doing, dude?
Dude, Vince doesn't remember anything before the last pay-per-view cycle, and you're gonna pitch that to him? Could you imagine the way we're laughing at this? Could you imagine the like looks that they gave each other in the room after this guy left, after pitching this stuff? Could you even imagine? What the fuck is he talking about? Like tying in storylines from 3 years ago and doing these deep convoluted stories that would have took half a decade to play out. Dude, you're Aleister Black. You're like the lowest guy on the totem. They were never doing any of that with you. It's delusional. It's crazy talk. The Undertaker? What is this guy on?
This guy wrestles once a year, and he's going to dust off the boots to team with Aleister Black.
Undertaker walked past him one day and said, good match, kid. And he took that to heart and was like, now I am going to tag team with The Undertaker.
It was pitched, Joe. It was pitched.
Yeah. I'm going to team. That's it. He wants the tag team with me. We're the new Brothers of Destruction. I can feel it. This is my break. But first, my feud with Vince. Then we'll get to the Good Brothers versus Aleister Black and The Undertaker. This fucking guy. Out of his mind.
As I said, this has only been 24 hours, so God only knows what's coming down the pike here. But there you go. Yeah. That's the those are your released ones: Braun Strowman, Aleister Black, Lana, Buddy Murphy, Big Match Buddy, Ruby Riott, and Santana Garrett. So we did
with that said, you bring the guy into AEW tomorrow.
Oh, absolutely.
And you never let him pitch anything.
Right. And you do the exact same thing where Tony's in the room and he goes, okay. All right. Yeah, I like it. All right. That's good. All right. I will take all those under advisement. And then you walk him out of the room and then you don't do any of it. So,
you know what, Stacy? That's a great idea. But, you know,
we got a lot of stories right now. We got a lot of things we're chewing on right now. But thank you for your input.
But for now, here's what I want you to do. Go out there and kick people.
Right.
That's what I want you to do. Go out there and throw those kicks. And
leave the antler mask at home. So
we'll talk about the glasses and the hat later. But for now, I want you to go out there and throw some kicks. Okay. Maybe we'll call the Undertaker. We'll put that on the back burner for now. Just go out there and wrestle your matches. That's how you handle them. But yeah, I would use them. But clearly, the guy has awful ideas. That much is certain.
There we go. All right, so that is it for WWE Land. Let's move into New Japan here real quick, and we'll talk about New Japan and Dragon Gate and NWA here to close out the show. So we'll start with New Japan. They have the Dominion show coming up the beginning of next week. So this is not confusing at all. Dominion 6-6 in Osaka-jo Hall is actually taking place on 6-7. They had to kick the tire down a day due to COVID issues, or kick the can, I should say, down 1 day due to COVID issues. But as far as we know, as of right now, Dominion is on for June 7th in Osaka-jo Hall. We do have the full card. It is an interesting card in who's not there. It's an interesting card in that it only has 5 matches. It's an interesting card in the demographics of the wrestlers that are actually going to be on the show versus the ones that are normally in New Japan, and it kind of speaks to everything that we have been talking about over the last few weeks, and the thing that just about anybody that listens to the show understands is going on in New Japan right now. But anyway, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, Yoshihashi, and Sho versus Evil, Yujiro Takahashi, Chase Owens, Taiji Ishimori, El Phantasmo, just a Hiroshi Tanahashi and Chaos versus Bullet Club. And I am not interested, Joe. So
this is a one-match show. I mean, I guess we have to watch the whole thing. I mean, I'm not looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's 5 matches, so it could either go one of two ways with New Japan lately. Every match will be 40 minutes long, or it'll be a quick in and out. I'm guessing that the last 3 matches will be like 30 minutes plus. So
no. No, it'll be quick and tidy until the main event will be like 40, 45 minutes though. But it's not going to be a super long show. They're not going to go super long with these undercard matches. But it'll have an intermission, and then the main event will be like 40, 45 minutes.
You got Bushi, Sanada, and Naito versus Dookie, Taichi, and Zack Sabre Jr. So this is an interesting one here. People have kind of noted, looking at New Japan booking patterns, Sanada and Naito as a potential tag team going for the tag team titles. Do you like that?
Yeah, that's what it looks like they're doing. I mean, that's fine. It's different at least. I mean, I cannot watch Dangerous Tekkers and God wrestle one more.
We'll talk about that in a bit. Yeah, we definitely need some new blood in there, and Naito and Sanada is a pretty fun team to get some new blood in there. So I'm all for it.
It looked like they were setting up Naito versus Ishii based on their interactions in the Never match, but I mean, this is fine too, because you just gonna do a Naito Ishii random one-off singles match. You could, but New Japan just doesn't do that.
Mm-hmm. So, a classic New Japan booking would be that, Sanada and Naito appear to be going for it, but it could just possibly be they're filling out this card and then there's not. So we're looking into it a little bit, and we're kind of working ourselves into a shoot potentially here, but we'll see. We'll see where it goes with it. Past New Japan booking would tell us this. Who the hell knows that these days with 2020 and 2021 New Japan booking is a little off the charts here. So IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship match, El Desperado defending the title against Yo.
Oh, I forgot about this match. This will get time. You're right. I was thinking they were all just multi-mans. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, that'll be fine. I'm not super excited about it. Yo, I'm not the biggest Yo fan. I think Yo is fine. I I don't know. It's hard to get into much of anything in this promotion right now.
Yeah, I'm with you.
honest.
Yeah, it has potential to be pretty fun, but it's a promotion that the matches, and we'll talk about the two Road to main events. It's a promotion right now where the matches are all like perfectly acceptable and perfectly fine. I just have zero connection to it and zero intrigue whatsoever with anything going on. So it's not great.
Yeah.
Speaking of, Kota Ibushi versus Jeff Cobb.
Now this has been well built, and I think they could have a really good match. So, yeah, I had the wrong card pulled up, and I thought they were all tag matches. That's how lost I am right now, with the New Japan. But yeah, this semi, I'm looking forward to this more than the junior title match. I'll say that.
Oh, certainly. And then the main event has potential to be just fucking tremendous, and I'm excited. Even if I'm not actually like excited about the stories going on in the company or really the kind of the overall feeling in the company right now. At the end of the day, it's Okada versus Shingo for the vacant IWGP World Heavyweight title. So, I mean,
it's probably going to be great.
I mean, it's two of my favorite wrestlers of all time, in the main event with the title on the line. I mean, that's you can't ask for much more than that.
It's probably going to be great. They're still going to have to get me into it, and I probably will get into it. It's not as much of a lock as if it was Will Ospreay versus Shingo, because Okada over the last year does kind of pick his spots, but this is the kind of spot that he does choose.
Yeah, it's definitely a spot.
Right. So I expect Okada to go hard and have a great match. Shingo always goes hard. So yeah, I mean, obviously this is the one you circle, but I think Ibushi Cobb can be real good. And the junior match, if you're into Yo, I think there's reason to be into that. I'm just not a big Yo person.
As far as the main event and the vacant title, are you a little disappointed that New Japan didn't get a little bit more creative with this and do a mini tournament or do anything?
I feel like they're just so fucked. I mean, they have no roster. They still have guys out with COVID. There's other people who just fucking said, "Fuck this, I'm going home." There's other people they can't get into the country or don't want to. I don't have a problem with it.
It's all weird. Yeah, I get it. Like,
you can have some tournament with the 12 guys you have.
That's what I mean. I don't know. Yeah, it kind of sucks because, like, and I did the piece on patreon.com/voices of wrestling, talking about vacancies in IWGP, main title history or whatever. And a lot of them were settled by tournaments and stuff and like well thought out and that sort of stuff. And they've had an option now for a few, weeks now to figure out something. But the problem is, like, what do you even figure out? I mean, it's such a fucking shit show going on right now in the company and in Japan that it's like, I don't even know if they have confidence that they could book a tournament for 2 weeks without a guy getting COVID and having to get out, and the guy that they want to win, getting COVID, or the guy, having it's such a fucking disaster that I get why they're just like, I don't know, just fucking Okada and Shingo, whatever, just do it. And at the end of the day, I mean, I guess we'll get to this now because I'm not disappointed either. It just kind of stinks that we're in this position where they can't do something cool with this, and they just have to kind of pick whoever's going to win. And this kind of comes to the point now, and people are asking this is the big question coming into this. You and I both believe that if Will Ospreay was still the champion, that at this show or at Tokyo Dome or whatever, he was going to lose to Okada, right?
That is my belief, yeah.
That's my belief as well. Okay.
Yeah.
Does anything change with this, or do you think Okada beats Shingo here?
No, I think this is just, they're going to get to their end point, which was Okada as champion.
I agree. Yeah, I
it's
agree
not time for Shingo to win the belt.
No. You can, and honestly, if you want Shingo to win the belt and you have him circled as potentially winning the belt, which you should if you're a smart booker, I would definitely find a way to make it so it's not this situation right now, which is what we're in. Like, make that mean something. Make that climb really mean something. Make him win a G1. Make him work his way up. Make it in front of crowds. Like, you're only going to have one opportunity to give Shingo his first title win. Okada, it's just another one. You know what I mean? It's the 6th or whatever the hell it is at this point for him. It's just another one down the line. Nobody will really remember it. It'll be kind of this weird, hey, remember when the title was vacated and Okada had to win it, yada, yada. So to me, there's no point whatsoever in putting it on Shingo right now. Put it on Okada. He won't lose anything with it. He'll gain a little bit by having another title reign, and then you save the Shingo one. And Shingo's not going to lose anything by losing to Okada in an IWGP World Heavyweight title match either. It's not going to matter. But you know what I mean? Like, that to me, that's what I do is when you're going to have Shingo eventually win the big belt, you make it mean something, make it worth something. Don't just have it be in this thing, this convoluted, thrown together title match.
The timing is awful. It's not the right time for him to win it. He needs to beat Will Ospreay for it. That's the story they've been building. I've talked about it the past couple of weeks. if Shingo is ever going to win this title, and I'm actually more confident now that he will at some point than I was before.
Them putting him in this, and we've always said they're never going to do anything with this guy, they're never going to get it with this guy. Them putting him in this, I believe it now.
Well, not so much that, because who else are you going to put in this match?
I mean, there's other guys on the roster, I'd say. I mean, there's... I guess you're not going to blow Naito, obviously. I think you could have obviously done a Sonata thing if you really wanted to do that. It'd be boring as fuck and terrible, but you could do that. Yeah, it gets a little lean after that. It definitely...
There's no options.
It gets a little lean. I mean, you can go back to Evil, but nobody wants that. That's disgusting on all levels. You could have a stand-in of a Jeff Cobb or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, you could have done that.
Yeah, I mean, that'd probably be on it. But they don't... See, Cobb is not pushed at that level yet. But that's not a bad idea, but Cobb's not pushed that level yet. And guys like Evil and Sonata just haven't been pushed at all lately, so that would have felt forced.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The thing about Shingo is he's already been in the title mix. So he's really the only guy who made sense, who was also a big enough star to put in a match. They really didn't have a lot of options.
Right.
In fact, I think if it were up to them, they wouldn't want Shingo in this match, because it sucks that he has to eat another loss in a title match, because he has to lose. So they probably, if it were any other option, they would have went with it, because Shingo losing another title match is like not optimal, you know. But the way that the Shingo Will Ospreay feud has gone, to me, when you look at Gedo's booking patterns, it's now like a neon sign that at some point the plan was for Shingo to beat Ospreay for the title, probably in 2022. That's the way I see it anyway. But I think Ospreay would have lost to Okada at the Dome. In fact, we pretty much know that now with all the information we got when Ospreay went back to the UK. Because they were going to let him go home after that match for like a long time, which tells you that he was going to lose the title. And then I think Okada will beat Naito in I think Naito will win the G1. I think Okada will beat Naito in the Tokyo Dome. I think Will Ospreay will beat Okada, because that's Will Ospreay's thing. He needs to beat Okada, especially if he would have lost the title to him again. And then Shingo will beat Ospreay. I know that's thinking like 5 steps down the line, but that's how they book.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they plot these things out. That's every logical story beat, right? Because you'd have Okada beating Naito at the Dome to kind of get that win back. You'd have Ospreay. I know Ospreay beat Okada in the G1, but it wasn't clean. And then Okada beat Ospreay at Wrestle Kingdom. And Ospreay's whole deal is he challenged Okada because he's hell-bent on beating him. Remember? That's like this whole deal.
Yeah, he called him out.
Right.
He said, "Get down here. I'm going to beat you." Yeah, that's so, yeah.
That's like his whole deal. So I think Ospreay would be the one to take the title from Okada at either New Beginning or Dominion or something, or whatever the fuck. It doesn't matter where. And then, like in mid-2022, if you're going to do Shingo, that's when you do it, and he beats Ospreay. Because I think Ospreay beating Shingo like a drum all these times in a row is what sets up Shingo winning the title from Ospreay some point down the line. So that's just how they book. So I feel like that or something close to that is what the plan was. Now it's all out of whack, but you can still get to the point you were going to get to by putting the title on Okada right now. And then at least, you know, he didn't get it from Will. But, you know, now when Will comes back, he has an easy story anyway. It's, I never lost it. No one beat me for it, and I'm here to get it back. So, you know, that works too. But, this is a long way to get to me saying, no, I don't think Shingo, I honestly don't think he has any chance to win this match. I'd put his chances close to 0.
So that is coming up on June 7th as well from Sakajo Hall. So we'll have coverage of that as well. We'll review it next week on the Flagship Watch. We'll definitely watch it all and react and see where things go after that. But New Japan this week, we're kind of doing this backwards here. I had 2 Road to Dominion shows. I don't have a whole lot to talk about with either of these matches, but I thought we at least had to touch on it. Did you watch the whole shows or just the main events for both of these shows?
I watched the main events, and I will have written reviews up sometime tomorrow.
There you go. All right. So are you gonna not reveal anything then, or are you gonna give us a little bit anyway? If you want the written, which I'm sure you'll go into a little bit more detail, patreon.com/voice of wrestling. Yes, we've reached the level where Korakuen Hall New Japan main events are getting relegated to not being relegated to Joe's review, written reviews, but lumped in. Yeah, you know what I mean?
5 match reviews. Yeah, and my reviews aren't just match reviews. I go on diatribes and go on tangents and things like that. So I have no problem talking about the matches because the reviews, I already wrote the reviews for those 2 matches, and they're more like essays on the current state of New Japan anyway. So they're not even really so much just straight match reviews.
Yeah. So patreon.com/voices of wrestling for those $10 tier. So night 1 was the IWGP Tag Team title match, I believe first time ever matchup between the Dangerous Tekkers and the Guerrillas of Destiny, Tama Tonga and Tonga Loa. That's who makes up the Guerrillas of Destiny. This was for the IWGP Tag Team titles. Again, Dangerous Tekkers versus the Guerrillas of Destiny, who are the champions. Dangerous Tekkers win the match, become the new champions. Joe, what'd you think of this very unique, very different matchup here between the Dangerous Tekkers and the Guerrillas of Destiny?
So, Guerrillas of Destiny were 5-0 against them. That's the story coming in. They beat them twice this year. They won the titles from them at Wrestle Kingdom, and then they defended them, I think, at New Beginning. Was it New Beginning? I think it had to be. But at any rate, they beat them twice this year. They're 5-0 against them.
I think these teams have wrestled 24 times, I believe, this year in some form or fashion. So,
right, but this was their 6th 2 versus 2 tag all time, with Guerrillas of Destiny winning every one of them. But they wrestle on opposite ends of multi-mans like every fucking night. I will say it was the best match these 2 teams have had against each other. I'm confident in saying that. I didn't love it. I thought that the highlights were when Zach was in there with Loa. They have great chemistry. And I think Tanga Loa might be the most improved wrestler in the world over like the last year. All of a sudden, he's like, I don't know what got into this guy. He is so much better than Tama Tonga. And that definitely wasn't the case up until about, I don't know.
Pre-COVID. It was literally, and I wrote about it in the book, like COVID happened and he came back and he was fucking good. And he's been good since then. I don't know why. And his
chemistry when him and Zack Sabre Jr. are in the ring together in this match, it's just another level of wrestling. It's great. I mean, I would use the word great when those 2 guys are in there with each other. If it's any other combination, it's a Tekkers versus Guerrillas of Destiny match, which I don't love the matchup. And Tekkers never land for me like they do for other people. Their matches just, they feel like tornado tags from bell to bell. Like they don't feel like tag team matches. And I know the current worldwide tag team style is kind of like that's kind of like the way tag team wrestling is in a lot of promotions these days. But for whatever reason with Dangerous Tekkers, it feels even more pronounced. I don't feel like I'm watching a tag team match. They're both always in the ring at the same time. And it's like they're almost cheating tag team psychology. Because if you could just be in the ring the whole time and just constantly, if it's just a 2-on, then it's not a tag team match anymore. And the art of tag team wrestling is lost. I'm not trying to sound like Jim Cornette here, but for whatever reason, that's what their matches always feel like to me. It's just a tornado tag rules, 2-on-2, and the work is good, and there's nothing wrong with the work, but the matches just lose me. And if a Dangerous Tekkers match is 10 minutes, it feels like 20. If it's 20, it feels like 40. I feel like the matches never fucking end. And you know why? I think I just figured it out as I was talking. Because it feels like they're in the closing stretch as soon as it starts because no one ever tags. So it almost feels like they're just... Do you know what I mean when I say that? Like, tag team matches break down, and it's just a constant flow of action with everybody in the ring at once, usually in like the final stretch, the last 5 minutes. But their matches, because no one ever tags in and out, it just feels like one long closing stretch. So then it feels like the match never fucking ends. So I have no idea if I'm articulating myself.
Yeah, no,
well.
You are. I think at the end of the day, I'm just not that into those guys. Like I'm not into that team. And I know that's like, people get very upset because a lot of people are really, really into that team. And I feel bad because it's like, I wish I could kind of enjoy it on the same level that other people do. I just don't. I'm not a Taichi hater. I think he's solid, and I liked Zack Sabre Jr. a lot. I just don't like the combo between the two, and I don't find their matches particularly interesting or fun or enjoyable. So I don't know. I feel bad.
I like them as separate entities better than as a team.
Absolutely, yeah. I think the sum of their whole part. Like, I don't know. It just doesn't land with me, and there are a lot of people that really like this team. They buy into it. They really enjoy it. They like the gimmick. They like Zack Sabre's promos. They like Taichi's whole thing. Like, I don't know. I just don't like the unit, and I don't like the team, and it's always kind of an issue. And I know this one had Mio Abe there, and they were like, oh my god, and I don't care about that either. Like,
hold on a second, who the fuck is that?
The girl that came out, the girl that was crying as they handed her the titles. What are you talking about?
Oh, you mean like Taichi's valet?
Yeah, Mio Abe.
Oh, who cares? I couldn't care less.
Well, yeah, but then again, like I'm saying, the people that care about that were like, "Oh, well, what a huge moment!" I'm like, "Oh, I don't know, all right." Like, I just
hold on.
She hasn't been there. No, she hasn't been there during COVID.
Oh, so she hasn't been around during COVID.
No,
I didn't even notice.
No, there you go. She has not.
All right, well, all right. If you're into that,
but see, like and that's the thing. Like, I feel bad that like people are enjoying that, but it's just like I don't care about the team, and I don't really care about her. I
don't pay attention to any of that. Is who's the one that comes out with Yujiro? Has she been around?
Peter? I don't think Peter has been around now. So.
Oh, so they're kind of limiting the locker room. I
think so. Or these people are like, I'm not coming into this fucking hellhole.
Or they're like, fuck you.
Yeah,
I'm not getting
right. I think Mio was probably like, nah, I'm good. Like,
yeah,
I'm gonna not get COVID.
Yeah, but
from
I mean,
all
I
you
understand.
assholes,
like, it's kind of the New Japan House style to just for the tag matches to break down like that. Like, I get it. People might think I'm being hypocritical. But I feel like with the Dangerous Techers, it breaks down immediately. Like, as soon as the fucking match starts, I feel like we're already in. And I'm probably not even right, but to me, it feels that way. And I know it's like every time they have a match, I give this same review. But it feels like they're having the same match every time. But I don't know. I like the Sabre stuff with Loa, and I did think this was the best match between the two teams.
I was going to say, the problem is I think they are having the same match every single time, because they're literally always having the same match against the same people, which doesn't help things too. And then I was going to say one of the other problems as well is that the Guerrillas of Destiny don't really counteract the Dangerous Techers to me in a very good way, because like they're the same way. It's just, these guys are just brawling outside. Jado, the Master Heater's out there. It's just all the same shit over and over and over. And it's like, I think I might like the Techers better if they were against like a hot babyface tag team that you just cannot wait for the hot babyface tag team, to get this, to get the hot tag going in or whatever. So that like, that would probably help it out a little bit. But instead it's just, both teams kind of break down and it just kind of becomes brawls. So.
Miho Abe, that's her name.
Mm-hmm.
She's been around for years. I don't think I ever
that's
knew her name. She's good for the act.
Absolutely, yeah. It's very, very emotional. Cries, they got heat.
Yeah. Like she's like
trying to beat her up, and then they're beating her up in front of they're beating Taichi up in front of her, and then she gets the title.
She's she's infatuated with Taichi. Is the deal. Yeah. But I didn't know that she wasn't around during COVID. Well, here's the thing. I'm not watching every show anymore. That's number one.
So you may have just not, you may have missed it.
And I just haven't noticed when I watch these big shows that she's not there. It's not like they ever focus on her. They did in this match. She actually got a lot of screen time in this match. Mm-hmm. But a lot of times she'll be there and it's like, it doesn't matter whether she's there or not. You know what I mean? Because she's never
after the entrance, she's just kind of there,
Yeah. So I honestly didn't even know. She hasn't been around for COVID at all, or you don't know?
I don't think she's been around for any of the COVID shows. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, okay.
So when they returned, I don't think she came back, and I don't think she's been there since June of last year, right? Been a whole year now at this point. So yeah, or it would have been March or whatever, whenever they stopped running shows, February, March. So. That was night one, so you got a title change there. Dangerous Techers are your new champions. And then night two of the Road to Dominion was a never openweight 6-man title match. These guys are still the champions. Hiroki Goto, Tomohiro Ishii, and Yoshihashi do it again. They defeat Bushi, Sanada, and Naito. 31 minutes and 15 seconds. What do you think of this never openweight 6-man?
I get it. It's a 5-match show. You got to give people their money's worth. I get it. But my God.
Yeah, there was 10 straight minutes. There was 10 straight minutes of Yoshihashi putting Bushi in a submission hold. I'm just like, all right, let's go. Bring her home. Bring her home, guys.
It's not even that. It takes so, like, I feel bad for the wrestlers because they have to stretch out this fucking 18-minute match into 32 minutes. And I get it. People bought a ticket. and they're giving them 5 matches. You got to give them a main event that's worth their money. I totally understand. But then it's hard for me on my couch to fucking focus
in front of
on
clap
this.
crowds too.
Yeah, and it's like, look, they worked their asses off, and it really was a really good match, you know, and it was just as good, if not better, than a lot of these trios matches, these hot trios matches on Dynamite and Impact lately with Kenny Omega involved and all that. It's been a really good year for trios matches. So, you know, I put it right there with those matches, but the atmosphere and just the general vibe in this company is just such a downer that it makes it really hard for me to fully invest and enjoy a 32-minute never open weight 6-man title match. I mean, that's all there is to it. I recognize that it was a very good match. I hesitate to say great. I don't think it was a great match, but it was a very good match. Low level, you know, low level notebook. I'd go 4 stars or something on this. Good action, but man, is the atmosphere and everything else really make a match like this hard to watch. It's just, man, it could have a lot to do with my, you know, just my overall feelings on the promotion right now. It's just in such a sad state. It feels like a funeral for someone who's still alive watching these New Japan shows.
Yeah, this show in particular, I noticed it because they put up like, so the Corkins, like, you know, they have, 300 people or whatever the hell in Cork, and they put up like banners behind the hard cam. You know what I mean? That's not good. I don't know if you noticed this, but anytime you see banners visible in the hard cam.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, someone in the chat room can correct, but I think they're using the scaled down Korakuen setup, aren't they?
That I don't know. That I'm not sure.
That like the scrub promotions use, like, you know, and like fucking whatever the fuck runs Korakuen, like Stardom or something.
Mm-hmm.
Don't they use the scaled down? Maybe not Stardom.
0-1, yeah.
Yeah. Like when a promotion like that runs Korakuen, they run the scaled down version of Korakuen. That's what it looks like. I don't know if that's. I mean, why would you run the full Korakuen if first of all you can't?
No, you're not gonna. Yeah, you're not gonna get anybody there. So
you can't even sell enough tickets for the full Korakuen. So I don't know. I'm just stalling out and waiting for someone in the chat room to.
Yeah, they really like to respond anytime we clearly know the answer.
Confirm or deny that. But,
right? Yeah, we'll see.
I feel like it's the scaled down version, but anyway, yeah, it looks like shit. The atmosphere is terrible. You know, I understand. It's like they have to run. I get it. They got to sell their tickets. The other thing is I really wish they would have put all these title matches on Dominion. And I understand like the trade-off here. They want to sell as many tickets as possible to the Korakuen shows. But this is a promotion that really needs a killer show in the worst way. And I feel like they really should have loaded this one up and really tried to get a buzzworthy show going. And they could have done that if they put these 2 main events on the show with the 2 title matches and the Ibushi Cobb match that they already have. And they really could have had a loaded show, but from their standpoint, they feel like they're going to sell all the tickets for Dominion anyway. So why not put those title matches on the Korakuen shows and try to sell as many tickets as possible for the Korakuen shows?
Exactly. Right. They don't want to give you a really pathetic Korakuen show and then only sell 100 tickets. They'd rather sell those extra 200 or extra 200 or 300 tickets to
right. But to me, when you're talking about numbers that low, I'd rather just make the big show a big deal.
Yeah, I agree. You're chasing very minute percentages here. We're
talking about a difference between 300 tickets and 400 tickets.
Yeah, to me, the optics of having a good show, especially this year, are pretty important. But
I mean, they need juice in the worst way. Their champion literally walked out. They have a roster of like 16 wrestlers or something. You know, I would have tried to put the biggest and best Dominion show possible on that I could have. And they could have put those 2 matches on there. But they chose to do it this way.
Right, prove to the world that, hey, despite what you guys think, we're still New Japan, we still fucking rule, but
and we could still have the best shows in the world and everything else.
Yeah.
But they chose to do it this way. It's not what I would have done.
So that is New Japan. Get into it. Dominion coming up this weekend. We'll, as I said, we'll talk about it on the show next week. So let's head over to Dragon Gate as well, because they had a big show this morning. They had the end of their King of Gate tournament. We've kind of kept up with the King of Gate throughout the last few weeks, and they finished it up here on June 3rd. So we'll kind of work our way through the show, and then we'll get to the main event here, because I think it's obviously the end of the tournament. So you get your King of Gate semifinals that starts the show On the third here, you have Kota Minoura versus Yamato. So Kota Minoura is still very, very young. I don't have his age in front of me. I think he's 22. SB Kento's 21, and I think Kota Minoura is 22. But anyway, Kota Minoura gets what I would consider a pretty decent upset here, defeats Yamato, moves on to the King of Gate finals. What do you think of Kota Minoura and Yamato?
It's a huge upset. Yeah, I mean, I didn't even expect him. He was. We assume he was an emergency winner of his own block. So then they come out and he beats Yamato, and it's like, okay, did they look at it from the perspective of he wasn't even supposed to be here, and we feel like the fans might know that, so let's put him through to throw a curveball and make it look like that he really did earn this.
Yeah, that he's been on this run all of a sudden. Yeah, don't make it seem like, oh, he's only here because Ben K can't be here. Make it seem like, no, this was our plan. This is what we wanted. So, right. I think that's a good strategy. And I think it's honestly, Yamato loses absolutely nothing from this. He's already set up for his next program anyway. And Kota Minoura, this is something that he will always be able to hang his hat on. And say, if I beat Yamato and I didn't, we'll spoil it here, but obviously it doesn't win King of Gate, but hell, beating Yamato to get into the finals when you're 22 years old, that's something you're going to hang your hat on forever. So.
Yeah, if KZ is going to win anyway, and he, and he's not knocking out the winner, then why not just say, okay, let's not make it look like this guy's just a goof who backed into this thing because one guy had COVID and another guy pulled out. Let's have him win, and we can because honestly, to me, he comes out of this. He got a lot of rub out of this going to the final, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yeah. This worked out pretty well. Obviously, you don't want Ben K to have COVID, and obviously, we hope he's fine. But yeah, I think they actually lucked into something pretty good here. They got a guy that's doing stuff. So,
and it also works out because he's almost like a younger version of Yamato.
He does look. Yeah, he's starting to look it. He's growing the hair out a little bit. He's got the tights kind of similar as well, or the trunk's pretty similar. So yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, so it's like the mini-me beats the fucking established version, which is a big win for him. That's a huge win to beat a guy like Yamato at this stage. And then he goes to the finals, and I thought, like I said, I watched this show, the 2 New Japan shows, and the 2 All Japan shows. I watched all of this today. And to me, the best match I saw was KZ versus Minoura in the final. So then he goes out there and has this great match against KZ in the final. So, obviously KZ won the tournament and he's going to get another title shot and all that. We'll talk about him in a minute. But if this was like a happy accident, if this was one of those situations like we talk about sometimes with AEW where they're handed a bad hand and they make the best of it, and that's what Dragon Gate did here with, okay, this is a block winner we didn't want, but we can make something out of this. And I think that's very crafty and creative of them to do that, because I think he gained a lot by not only going to the final, but then having an outstanding match against KZ.
Yeah, and I think what's also important, too, is that Minoura won the match not with, like, a banana peel thing, not by, catching him out. He fucking put him in his move and fucking dropped him into the mat and pinned him. You know what I mean? Like, he powerbombed him, he dropped him in, and I think that's a great way to do it as well, because it's easy to have it be, oh my god, the flash pin, like the Rey Mysterio WWE thing, where he does a flash pin out of nowhere, oh my god, he won, and then he puts his hand on his head, no, he can't believe he did it. Or, you know, just beat the guy with your fucking move. It's Yamato. Like, and he did. He just powerbombed his ass into the mat, beat him, and then Kai comes out and calls Yamato a bitch for losing to him, and it's perfect. It works, so.
Yeah. So, yeah, for sure. It was, it's. I feel like because I can't think that this was the plan, right? I know we've talked about it already, but
yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I'd be interested to see what the VoiceGate guys, if they think, Case and Mike. I know they did a review of the show this morning.
I haven't listened to them because I never want to get. They always do their audio, and I don't want to get spoiled.
Yeah, I'm the same way. So I'll listen to it tomorrow and see what they thought about it. But yeah, no, I don't think this was the plan, but I'm glad they went this direction.
Yeah.
Then you had your other semifinal match here. KZ defeating SB Kento. SB Kento, 21 years old at this point, just an absolute shit-eating grin on his face the entire time. He just looks like $1,000,000. The no hair is working for him well, because he comes out with his hat, and the heat is that he wants to wrestle with his hat on the entire time, and then the babyface knocks his hat off, and he looks at his hair. Classic Pro Wrestling 101 stuff here. But yeah, he ends up losing pretty quickly here to KZ. Did you have an issue with this being only 4 or 5 minutes long, or did you think it worked out?
No, I had a long day of watching wrestling, Rich. So
yeah, I don't get in and out. If the idea is that KZ's going to beat, I'm with you, man. If the idea is that KZ's going to beat this guy and he's 21 years old and you're trying to get KZ moving forward, 5 minutes, man, that works for me. That's okay.
Yeah.
Told the story in 5 minutes. That's all you really needed. So I'm with you.
And then the final, I thought the final was really great. I mean, notebook match for sure. Great drama at the end. And, unlike AEW where people win these big matches and the camera cuts away a fucking
to the back. Yeah. They apparently Keith Mitchell really getting a lot of work there as Impact's and AEW's director there.
It drives you nuts.
Yeah, I hate it.
They don't let anything sink in. Here, they let it fucking sink in. The guy wins. He has this nice celebration, the promo, all that. So he really felt like he accomplished something important by winning the tournament. And, Jay was just tremendous on commentary like he always is, putting it over. So yeah, I thought the match was excellent. I thought it was it was a loss that really helped the guy who lost. Like we talked about already, Minoura, the loss was good for him because it was a good run in the tournament. KZ had an excellent tournament from start to finish. He was probably one of the top, if not the top performers in the tournament overall. He's the winner. I think he'll have a really good title match against Shun Skywalker. I don't think KZ is a Dreamgate guy. I just don't. I've never felt that way, but I think he's a good challenger and he can have a excellent match with Skywalker. I just don't see him as a Dreamgate guy. And that's not necessarily a knock. I don't see Hiroki Goto as an IWGP guy, and I love Hiroki Goto. I just don't think KZ is a Dreamgate guy, and I just never have thought that.
Yeah, I would agree. I think you can get enough out of KZ without actually giving him the title. I agree. If you want to have him be the guy that this is a big moment for him. This is probably the biggest win of his career, the biggest moment of his career. And I like this. It builds all up, and then he tries to go for it, and he just can't do it. And then it's fine. Then you establish, all right, that this guy is great. He's been here for a while. He got, he won King of Gate. You can't take that away from him. But yeah, he doesn't need to win the title. He doesn't need to beat Shun Skywalker. I don't think it's a bad thing that he's down the totem pole. And Dragon Gate does a great job of that as well. Guys, Susumu is, how many big matches has Susumu lost? But it does it every single time that he gets up and gets going. You think, all right, you know what? Hey, let's watch Susumu win this tournament or do this thing and get there, and maybe we'll see. And he never wins the big one. He never wins the big title, but that's fine. In this company, it is totally okay, and I'm with you. KZ is great as a guy to kind of rally behind for a little bit, but I don't need him as my Dreamgate champion.
No, I think this is his level, and that's fine. Yeah. No, and I think he's a guy that people will rally around in a title match situation, but I just don't think he's a guy that I would belt up. But he's a great challenger, and I think he could have a great match with Skywalker. We know he can, in fact. So, looking forward to it, and I thought the King of Gate wrapped up very nicely with this show. I watched the whole thing. It was an entertaining. This was the best match, the final, but it was an entertaining show from start to finish and an easy watch.
Any other thoughts on anything you saw in the rest of the show? We don't have to go match by match here, but anything that really stood out? I mean, I guess the big R Shimizu transformation into King Shimizu, I think we at least have to talk about.
Yeah, Natural Vibes needs to be stopped.
Yes, I'm with you. This has gotten too far. We've gone too far with Natural Vibes.
I never liked Natural Vibes, but this big R Shimizu thing,
it's gone too far. Yeah. So for people that do not know, the big R Shimizu run has basically. He went from being dollar store Ricky Fuji for a while there, where he's just getting increasingly dirtbaggy by the day. And you and I said this is a bad path. Don't go down this path too much. He went down the path of then that was over. He was no longer dollar store Ricky Fuji. Then he became the fat Ultimo Dragon for a little while, and that ran its course because it wasn't really funny after the first or second time. And now he appeared on this show as King Shimizu, a part of Natural Vibes. AKA, he's just cosplaying 1999 to 2000 Rikishi. That's it. He wears the same tights. It says King on there. He puts glasses on and he dances. And he's fat.
You know what?
That's it.
There's nothing wrong with having a little goofiness on a Dragon Gate show because that's what they've always been. But the thing is that what they think this guy is now? Because he goes from one comedy gimmick.
I know, because
next.
What's interesting is I watched an old. It was a 2016 Big R Shimizu match in. I did Open the Voice Gate earlier this week. We were talking about Masato Yoshino's career, and we watched a match where Big R is in. It's like a multi-man, elimination match or whatever. And he's fucking great. He's just throwing the fucking shot put slam all over the place, and he's killing dudes left and right. He's just punching them and knocking their heads off, and then throwing them in shot put slams. And I'm like. Right, yeah, I used to love this guy, and this is why, because he used to be really, really good, and now he's like funny fat guy, and I don't know if that's a great path to be down. I mean, it is Dragon Gate, like you said, and they can kind of turn it on any time with guys, but this is we're a couple years now into Shimizu being funny fat guy, so I don't know. You know?
Yeah.
That might be his lot in life.
They did Kamei to the group 2 Natural Vibes. He just can't.
Oh, good. They've gotten bigger and yeah, great. Awesome.
Yeah. It's like, I never liked the group, but, you know, it's like with Dragon Gate, there's always going to be a unit you don't like, I guess. This is the one I don't like.
Yeah, I'm with you. So we had to talk about that, but that's going on there. So anyway, KZ moves on. He is challenged. It was official now. Kobe World. It's gonna be KZ and Shun Skywalker.
Oh, that match is just official now?
I think it's official. Yeah.
I mean, we know it's going to happen.
Right. I'm pretty sure if you go to Dragon Gate's website that they have officially announced that is indeed happening. So
that's going to be a great match. And
yeah, I can't wait.
The thing about Skywalker needs one because, like, this crazy shit keeps happening in his matches.
Yeah, if I'm KZ, I don't know what I wrap myself in bubble wrap until the match happens, and God, I don't know. Just hope that you don't get a fucking concussion, or I mean, every single match that Shun's been in, something has gone wrong. So I don't know. KZ's pretty reliable, but yeah, it has been snake bitten. But yeah, I hope they just go out there and they just have an opportunity to have 30 minutes and just go out there and kill it, which would be.
I think it's gonna be great. I'd put the floor at like 4.25. I think it's gonna be great.
Yeah. KZ's been that good for a while. KZ's been that good for the last few years. So I'm with you.
He's really good with dramatic near falls in a closing stretch.
Oh yeah. That's why he got that Mr. February. I mean, I know the Open the Voice Gate guys kind of called him Mr. February for a while there because every February they'd go to his hometown and he'd get a title match. He had that famous one against Pac.
Yeah.
A few years ago that was fucking incredible. Like it got like
match.
It got match of the year votes pretty high up. I forget where it finished, but it finished very very high. And yeah, if you've ever want to go and watch and see what KZ's capable of. Yeah, watch that KZ Pac from it must have been 2019, I want to say, right? Unless it was it? No, yeah, it had to be 2019.
I can look it up real quick. Yeah,
yeah. So it had to be February 2019 or whatever, and it's fucking tremendous. It's great. It's you don't. The fans know going in that KZ's not going to win, but God damn it, if he doesn't get so close, it's so many times that they all just decide halfway through the match, you know what? Fuck it. KZ's winning this match. He's beating Pac and he's becoming the new champion. We can't wait we're going to be here when this happens. And every single kick out is just more dramatic and more dramatic and more dramatic. And it rules. It's a great, great match.
I don't know if they know he can. I think they believe in him. I don't think he could win. I don't think I shouldn't say that. I'm saying I wouldn't make him my dream. I don't know if they're ever going to belt him up. He doesn't feel like a Dream Gate champion to me, though, is all I'm saying. But yeah, he had that Pac match was 2019. And he also had that great match against Eita last year. The Naruki Doi title match was a good match. Yeah, he's solid as hell in that spot. I think he's perfect for the plucky challenger role.
Yeah,
that's perfect
for sure. All right, so that is Dragon Gate. We'll obviously have coverage on the website, and we'll be keeping an eye on Dragon Gate as well. Open the Voice Gate, as we said, they have a review of that entire show, and you can listen to my appearance on Open the Voice Gate this week as well, where I talk about the career of Masato Yoshino. So good stuff there. But let's get into the final topic on this week's show. Joe, the National Wrestling Alliance, we didn't believe them. We didn't know, hey, are you guys going to give us a card? Is this going to be Mystery Vortex? Out of nowhere last weekend, they announced an entire card for their pay-per-view coming up this weekend, When Our Shadows Fall, June 6th on Fight TV for $20. VoicesOfWrestling.com/fight as well. If you're going to order it on Fight, make sure you use that link, VoicesOfWrestling.com/fight. But anyway.
I guess I got to carry this because you don't even watch.
Don't even watch. So I'm gonna say names, and you're going to tell me all about it. So, all right. We have, I believe some of these people are new to the mix here, so I don't know if there's any real build here, but you have The End, who I love, The End, Obsidian and Pero, versus Sam Rudo and Sal Ronaldo, versus Marshe Rocket. If there's ever a Billy Corgan promotion, Marshe Rocket is not very far, and here he is. He's teaming with Slice Boogie against Bestia 666 and Mecha Wolf 450, so, hey, if you're booking Tyrus, you're already canceled, you may as well go all the way with it then, right?
I don't even remember who.
Yeah, Mecha Wolf. He's that's Mr. 450, by the way, in case you can't.
Yeah.
He's done a lot of stuff. So that's it. The list is
accused of a lot of stuff.
Accused of a lot of stuff. He did fake some injuries here and there, but anyway. But yeah, go ahead.
He's been accused of some. He allegedly has done some things. It's a 4-way match. The End has been around. this season on the show. Sam Rudo is Sam Adonis. I guess they don't want two Adonises on the show, so they're calling him Sam Rudo. He has not been around
entirely too long to figure out who Sam Rudo was, and then it made all the sense in the world when I figured out who Sam Rudo was. So.
Yeah, so Sal Rinauro, his whole thing is he's been searching for a tag team partner the whole season or whatever. So I guess he'll team with this guy here. Marshe Rocket and Slice Boogie's been one of the highlights of the season. Marshe Rocket's been around, but he's been Marshe Rocket. And then you have the Lucha team. So there's no story or anything behind this. Half of these guys didn't even wrestle on the season. So I have no feel for what they're going to do. I mean, maybe the end. I mean, they've been in the title chase, so maybe they'll win it.
Those guys roll, so that wouldn't I wouldn't mind that at all. But all right, we'll move on. This match, people a little disappointed that Thunder Rosa not in a bigger spot, I would say, on this NWA show. I'm curious on your thoughts here. So it's Thunder Rosa teaming with Melina versus Kylie Rae and Taryn Terrell.
Okay, so the feud has been Thunder Rosa and Camille, with Melina as Thunder Rosa's manager and Taryn Terrell as Camille's manager. It's been a terrible feud because Melina and Taryn Terrell give the world's worst promos. I mean, they're just atrocious. Thunder Rosa, I love her, but she's a terrible promo too. At least in this promotion she has been. And Camille is a god-awful promo, and now I know why Dave Lagana never let her talk. Her mystique has been destroyed by allowing her to speak. It is comical how bad Camille is on a microphone. So the natural match here would have been Thunder Rosa and Melina versus Taryn Terrell and Camille, especially since Thunder Rosa and Camille just had that 20-minute draw, which was actually a really good match, maybe the best match of the season. But for some reason, they put Camille in the title match. Why didn't she just win and beat Thunder Rosa if that was the case? I don't know why they went to a draw. And now Kylie Rae comes out of nowhere to team with Terrell. But here's the thing. Kylie Rae is like the ultimate babyface. You can't be more of a babyface than Kylie Rae. Okay? She's like the most likable wrestler on earth. But Taryn Terrell and Camille are heels. So none of this makes sense.
On any level whatsoever.
They should have just had the tag match. If they're going to do the tag, it should be Camille and Terrell because this is the two teams they've been building this all along. If you're going to put Camille in the title match, you should have beaten Thunder Rosa and not had to draw with her. And then if you're going to replace Camille, you need to replace her with a heel. Kylie Rae does not fit this at all. Is she going to come out there as Smiley Kylie, doing her little pose with her hands under her chin, smiling and working like a baby face?
I mean, I can't imagine she's not, right?
But the psychology's all off because Taryn Terrell's a heel. This is what I've been trying to tell people.
It's so weird.
None of it it never makes any sense.
Yeah, booking Kylie Rae in a babyface tag team seems like an easy win to me, but well, they're doing it their way. All right, NWA TV title, The Pope versus Tyrus. Oh, sorry. No, sorry. Non-title grudge match.
Yeah.
There must be a winner. NWA Television Champion The Pope versus Tyrus. So
right. The Pope said he wasn't going to give Tyrus another title shot because he gave him one and they had a double count out. And then the Pope eliminated Tyrus from the Battle Royal, even though the Pope wasn't in the Battle Royal. Don't ask. So the Battle Royal for the world title shot. So they're going to have another match, but I non-title because I guess the Pope doesn't feel like Tyrus should get a title shot.
Tyrus is definitely winning this match, right? It's just a way for Tyrus to beat him, but not lose the title.
Okay, if you're doing a non-title match, champion versus challenger, why would the challenger not win?
Yeah, right.
That means the Pope is winning clean in the middle.
Because it's NWA. So,
yes.
Right. So it can't possibly make any sense. So, all right. This is actually for the titles. The NWA World Tag Team titles. Triple threat match here. The War Kings, Jack Stain and Crimson. We won the war against VOW. Versus the NWA National Champion, Chris Adonis and Tom Latimer. Versus Aaron Stevens and JR Kratos. That's a name. That's a list of names, Joe. There are a lot of names in that match, and they are having a match.
He's actually just Kratos.
Oh, okay.
Just to correct you, sir.
Those are guys. Those are dudes for sure.
Well, I mean, this didn't. Okay, You could have just put the end in here because those are the 4 teams that have been the 3 teams that have been chasing Stevens and Kratos, but they did it this way. It's fine. I mean, the match makes sense because Adonis and Latimer have been chasing the titles, so have War Kings. Stevens and Kratos don't get along. Stevens is a babyface, Kratos is a heel. So I suspect that this is where they lose the titles, and then they'll split and they'll have a singles feud. That's what I'm guessing comes out of this. As far as who wins the titles, I don't know. And I'm not sure that Chris Adonis is still the national champion because he entered that battle royal 2 weeks ago at the behest of Nick Adonis. And in order to enter that battle royal, you had to give up your championship.
Oh, you did say that, but I believe I found this from NWA's website.
So I don't know what's going on. He shouldn't be listed as the national champion because the deal was if you wanted to be in that battle royal where the winner faces the world champ, the condition was you had to give up your, like if the Pope or Adonis or whoever, they would have to give up their titles in order to be in the battle royal. And that was like the heat because all this made Adonis get in there to try to stop Murdoch from winning, but Adonis had to give up his title with the idea being that, okay, Adonis is going to be mad at Aldis now because he made him give up his title, but now they're listing him as a champion. What the fuck is going on? Nothing ever makes sense. Can they just make it make sense even if it's bad?
Oh, God. All right. NWA. So who's winning this match, by the way? Who knows?
I don't know, but Stevens and Kratos are losing. I know that.
Because they're the champions coming in.
Yeah, and they've been teasing the split the whole season. And then they're going to feud with each other.
NWA World Women's title match. Camille looks to win the title against Serena Deeb. Does she do it here on When Our Shadows Fall?
I think she will because I think Deeb will then go to AEW full time. And they've been pushing Camille. And then I guess that's where you could argue that the draw was a good finish because then you have a challenger all set up with Thunder Rosa. Where if Camille would have beaten Thunder Rosa, it would have been awkward to position Rosa as a challenger if she already lost to her. See what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So you could argue for the draw from that perspective. I still say Camille should have just won because then you could just have Thunder Rosa beat somebody else to build her back up. Just have her beat Genocide and whoever the fuck else is on the roster and then say, all right, I'm ready for, a title shot. So I don't know. And honestly, I don't think they thought that fucking hard about it. That's giving them way too much credit to say that they did the draw on purpose so that Camille would have a challenger. So, but anyway, I think Camille will win, and I think Deeb might be done with the NWA.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, obviously the AEW connection is very clear there, and yeah. If not now, when for Camille? So it's like whatever, it's fine. Give her the title. So. And then our main event here, final match we'll preview here. NWA World's Heavyweight title match. Trevor Murdoch looking to win the title against Nick Aldis. Does he do it here, or does Aldis retain?
No, Murdoch won't win, but Murdoch gave a great go-home promo after he won the Battle Royal. That I would recommend to people. But I don't know. I don't think he'll win. And I like Trevor Murdoch. I think he works hard. He does what he's asked. He's a good wrestler, but it really speaks to how thin this roster is where this was the big world title match that they built up for this pay-per-view. Because you look at the rest of the card and where else were they going to turn?
I was going to say, like, so hypothetically, once, Murdoch's in the rear view, which he will be on, Aldis will win, like, who's next?
Yeah. Well, I would hope.
I mean, I guess you bring somebody else in, I suppose, but.
I would hope that, at the tapings that they have some new names in the mix because they usually do. But you never know. And, we're each month that passes, we're a little further past COVID. So, more names become available. Maybe people hesitant to work, more people vaccinated, whatever the case. So who knows? Maybe they got something planned. I really thought they were going to go with Chris Adonis versus Aldis on this.
Yeah, I was going to say that seemed to make sense, but.
Because they teased all that, because Adonis still technically isn't a member of what the fuck is Adonis?
The fake Four Horsemen thing.
Yeah,
that
the
they're
fake
doing.
whatever Aldis calls his group. I can't remember it off the top of my head. But he isn't technically a member. Like, the whole thing was Aldis would keep saying, well, he's not in yet. He hangs out with us, but you got to earn a spot in whatever he calls his group.
Strictly business, isn't that what
strictly business, yeah. You know, and then he makes him give up his title, or maybe he didn't, to get into the Battle Royal. So it's like, I thought, oh, well, Adonis is going to win the Battle Royal then, right? And then he's going to say, well, I don't want to be in strictly business because now I'm, you know what I mean? Like, I thought that's where they were going. But then Murdoch won the Battle Royal. So, I mean, and they did build the Murdoch match all season long, to be fair. But, I mean, the match should be a typical Nick Aldis 3-star match. It should be fine because Murdoch's pretty good. But Aldis should win. And I think Camille versus Serena Deeb will probably be the best match on the show. Looking at it,
I'm pretty confident. Yeah, I'm pretty confident Deeb will get something good out of her. I mean, she's too smart of a worker to not know how to maximize Camille.
I mean, I've seen Camille have good matches with good wrestlers, so I'm not really worried about it because Camille just had a really great match with Thunder Rosa. You know, Camille obviously is green still, and you can see it. But yeah, if Thunder Rosa could have a great match with her, Deeb can too. So that'll probably be the best match. We missed JTG versus Fred Rosser.
Oh, we did. Sorry.
Nice little undercard.
That's
match.
a good little match. I'm excited about that match.
JTG's a guy who deserves a chance.
Absolutely. I'm excited. Like if I was booking an indie, I'm definitely calling JTG and seeing what we can do with him. I mean, he's a guy who seems relatively hungry, has gotten himself in really good shape. You know, shares videos of how in shape. You know what I mean? Like, it really feels like a dude that is hungry to at least prove himself at some level whatsoever. So
he looked great WrestleMania weekend. He looked great.
Oh yeah, he stood out. I don't know if that's more about, you know, WrestleMania weekend and the wrestlers there, or it says more about JTG. I think a little bit of both, honestly.
No, yeah, he looked like a guy WrestleMania weekend where I was like, he deserves a chance with you know, NWA or Impact, one of those kind of promotions.
Yeah, oh for sure.
MLW, you know, the lower level major league.
Yeah, the C&D promotions. I think he could excel in for sure.
Yeah, and he's getting that chance. And I assume if he's working this, he'll work the taping. And Fred Rosser's a guy, I know people think it's a meme, but whether it's here or New Japan Strong, he always works his ass off and impresses. He's another guy, along with Tangaloa, who's right up there for most improved wrestler over the last year or so. So I think JTG and Rosser could be a nice little undercard match. It's probably only going to get 6 or 7 minutes, but that's all it needs. And I think the booking of that match will tell you a lot of what they think. Like, if JTG goes in there and beats him in 6 minutes, he's probably going to work the taping and get a push. If JTG goes out there and loses, then maybe it's a one-off. So it's actually a pretty interesting match. I would like to see JTG stick around and get a push here. I think there's a great spot for a guy like that.
Oh yeah, and I could see them, you know, building this guy up. When you talk about, you know, future guys, like, he looks like $1 million, and I think it'd be a really, really cool story to have him come in there and slowly work his way up and challenge all this, or be in the main events and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think he's a guy that would definitely circle. I mean, a lot of these other guys on the roster are like just dudes. And I think JTG has a little bit more to offer than your Tom Latimers and your Crimsons and your Jack Stains and those guys. You know what I mean? Like, I think there's a little bit more. And he's got a cool story. I think there's obviously, you know, the Shad connection is something that you still can, you know, kind of look at. And yeah, he's a guy who, you know, the story of him kind of building himself back up and coming from nowhere to becoming, you know, what he is now is impressive and fun. So yeah, I hope he hangs around.
The other thing about him is he's been gone for so long that he's fresh.
Oh yeah. There's a whole generation of people that don't even know, you know, are aware of Crime Time, but don't really, you know, make that one-on-one connection of JTG and Crime Time.
Yeah, and even if you were around for Crime Time, he's been gone for so long from, you know, the spotlight.
Oh, they're all new matches. Yeah, there's not a single match that he can have on any high-level indie that has already happened. Like, you know what I mean? Other than what happened on WrestleMania weekend. But yeah, you can book him against any of your guys, and it's a fresh matchup.
He's a fresh act. He's improved his look. I mean, he always looked good, but now he looks like a fucking star now. So, yeah, that's an interesting match to keep an eye on.
So there you go. That is anyway, when our Shadows Fall. We'll potentially have a review of that. So we'll cover it, no doubt, on the flagship next week. But we might have a written review up at voicesofwrestling.com. But you can order it. It's on June 6th on Fight TV for $20. voicesofwrestling.com/fight if you're going to order NWA When Our Shadows Fall. So that is it for us, as we said. Patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. All of the stuff we do is available on the $10 tier. Written stuff from Joe, including some recaps about those two New Japan main events. I did an audio doc recently about the IWGP title vacancies. I got WrestleMania Randomizer wrapping up. I have a new series on the way, of VOW Retro Series. Jovember to remember, the Thursday TV reviews. I mean, there is just so much stuff. Overruns, all the stuff going up on Voices of Wrestling.com/Patreon. So make sure you subscribe there. $5 tier gets you some bonus audio. $10 tier gets you everything we do on the entire Patreon. So patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling. Also at Voices of Wrestling on Twitter. Voicesofwrestling.com. Voicesofwrestling.com/says Discord as well if you want to join our Discord and chat wrestling with other wrestling fans. And of course, the biggest part of the Patreon, patreon.com/Voices of Wrestling, is the $10 tier, which allows you to do the No Dopes chat room, the No Dopes zone here on the live flagships that we do every single week as well. So $10 subscribers get the live flagship each and every week. But anyway, for Joe Lanza, I'm Rich Craich. We'll talk to you next time on the Voices of Wrestling flagship podcast.
Introducing Guinness Nitro Cold Brew Coffee Beer, blending the smooth, creamy nitro taste of Guinness with hints of coffee, chocolate, and caramel. Guinness Nitro Cold Brew Coffee Beer, your new favorite part of the day. Look for it where Guinness is sold. Must be 21 and over to purchase. Please enjoy responsibly. Diageo Beer Company, New York, New York.
Sugar Ray Leonard, Roberto Duran, Marvelous Marvin Hagler, and Thomas Hearns. Legends, whose four-way rivalry defined one of the greatest eras in boxing history. Relive their decade of dominance in the new Showtime sports documentary, The Kings, a 4-part series premiering Sunday, June 6th, only on Showtime.